Well, hello, good evening, good day, whenever you're watching this. I hope some of you come and share the space on screen, as this is meant to be just that. Um, Contrary to my usual Friday streams, this is back to the old days. Haven't done any of these in a while now. I guess live streams have become somewhat the norm for a lot of channels, certainly mine. But I haven't done any of these community ones in a while. And well, hello, chauffeur particulier, Bernard. Yeah, it's a little later than usual, as I guess I wanted to catch our American friends since they are our friends, believe it or not. But yeah, there's been a few years now of discourse in the VC, around the VC, and about um, topics. Record Store Day, RSD. Hello, Chris. Hello, Herc. What else? Record shops, are they good for you or not? How do you buy records? What else? Is jazz still relevant? Um, all these things that are just fine, but I wish we'd have less formatted discussions like we used to have. Um, and for that some of you need to come on screen, which can happen. Otherwise, you know me, I may be able to ad lib for a good hour or so. Hello, Andorra's Revenge. Hello, Mauricio was very helpful this week. Let's see. Yeah, it has some issues, but the record has also some issues in this case. But no. Like, stay tuned for Friday. There will be some cool stuff on Friday. But yeah, I thought like the thing that triggered this to me coming back doing this kind of format is that I saw a huge announcement teased 2 weeks ago, I think now. And then it was confirmed. And I saw a lot of people online getting extremely excited about it, overly excited, I might say. And in the VC, I struggled to see any mention of it. Um, and I talked with some friends, and they about it, that maybe they should tackle it. And more or less, the response was, "Oh, this is not for our audience." And I thought, like, when this band releases their new album after 13 years of silence, that's the best way to grow your audience. If we think the VC can become stale at some points, if we think that it's becoming a bunch of people who look towards the back, who look in the rear view, who get excited about the same old things over and over, well, then it's not going to change for sure. Hello, Gas. How you doing? Uh, Grass. Hello, Kaylee. Hello, Dom. New here. Loose hooks. You can join the community for sure. Do videos and partake, and if you have something you feel strongly about, that will be an asset to you. And hello, safe David. Thank you. So yeah, I thought that a band like Boards of Canada, who's been around since 1996. So it's not a new band. They've been around for 30 years. Even a little more if you count their private release cassettes and one 10-inch from 95, I believe, if I remember correctly. And their music changed changed a lot in the music industry. They basically introduced the idea of hypnagogy, sort of nostalgia for something that you never really experienced first hand, if it even existed. And that opened the door to a lot of other musicians and brand new aesthetics that bled into the mainstream for sure. and um, and they're massive. This how should I put it? I believe from the data I gathered from my friends in the industry that um, they will sell around like 80,000 copies of this year alone, if not more. And I don't think we'll find any other band, mainstream or not, that will have a new release in 2026 that will sell more copies than them. Which means, which explains why I'm a little bit perplexed by the lack of excitement in the VC. Personally, I'm not that excited about it anymore. I think their last great release was this one from 2002. So that's a while ago. This is absolutely extraordinary. 4-track EP. Then they had a third album, uh, 2006, something like that, with an EP, and that was not my thing. That was massively successful, but it was more pop, used guitars and stuff. Like for those who don't know, Boards of Canada are electronic music with um, um, most often pretty slow beats, or it's not like dance music at all. They sometimes use vocals, but more as an aesthetic rather than to tell lyrics, songs. And then in 2013, they came back with this record, Tomorrow's Harvest, which I think was an improvement on the previous one. Uh, I'm probably in the minority there. Um, I think it's a decent album. Nothing close to the stuff they put out between 96 and 2002. Two albums, an EP, some peel sessions, remixes, compilation tracks. Absolutely amazing stuff. Hello, Roger. I need to do this kind of stream to see you. Uh huh. Okay, well, maybe you have a problem with women then. Yeah, I understand it's late for a lot of people here, but yeah, you can catch it up later. We'll see if it's interesting, anyways. Hello, Jens. Jens is in Sweden with me, so it's late for him as well. It's like soon 1 o'clock here. So, a perfect prescription talks about Speedy J, Dutch techno producer who had his break in the early 90s alongside mostly early Plastic Man on -8, trancy techno. I think he got only better with time. Not still not fully convinced by it yet, but come on, a perfect prescription and talk about it. Johnny Blue Skies has already sold 60K this year. Yeah, but this year. Well, you'll see with the fan base. Hello, Frank.
What's up, Stunty?
Well, I'm I'm trying to to do something a little different than my Fridays, something I used to do, as you
Hmm.
probably remember, and talk about maybe the stuff that I don't see being discussed too much in the VC these days. Not that it
Yeah, I
can't,
see
but
you had mentioned Boards of Canada.
yeah. And Joel here says he's more excited with the new Seafield album. I am too. I pre-ordered that, but like I can also acknowledge that a new Boards of Canada record is gonna be something absolutely massive. What do you think about it? What's your connection with them?
I first learned about them from our local library.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Our library just has like an insane selection of music. So I was just flipping through, and typically I would just look at the covers and whatever looked interesting, I would take home and try out. And as you know, their early album covers are pretty interesting. So
Yeah.
that was my first exposure to them. And then around the time I met my wife Angie, I was listening to Tomorrow's Harvest. And
Mm,
so we met online. And she had asked me, this is before we went on our first date. She said, "Well, what are you listening to nowadays?" And I said, "Boards of Canada." And when you're like online dating, you don't expect
yeah.
anybody to know what that is, right? So she was like, "Holy fuck," like another human being that knows what that is. So yeah, we had kind of a connection with that album. I think that one has like two good tracks, maybe one like really good track, and
I
then the
agree
rest of it
with
is
you.
just like okay.
I agree with you. I liked it much better than the previous one, but the previous one I just didn't. It was just not for me. It's not that it's bad or anything. It's just not for me. But what you said, I think, is interesting because I feel that over time, a lot of people who kind of feel isolated in their taste and aesthetic and inner world, Boards of Canada was the perfect band for a lot of people like that around the
Oh
world.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Plus the fact that, as you say, they have this interesting artwork that often references stuff like numerology,
Mhm.
conspiracies,
Yeah, and
and
also like a dreamlike. They're like
yeah.
sort of dreamlike.
So they kind of
I think they're very important. I mean, especially in for people who like us who appreciate that music, who appreciate electronic music. That was actually like from our formative years, like growing up. So that's
yeah,
kind of ours. We can
totally.
appreciate all of the rest of it in the building blocks, like Pauline Oliveros's and all of that. But when it comes down to it, that was ours.
I'll tell you my story with how I discovered them. Then some of you already know, but back in the 90s in Paris, where well, I lived in the suburbs, but I was going, I was doing weekly, sometimes even bi-weekly visits to the rough trade shop, which was one of the few places where you could get like proper indie stuff in the early 90s, and also one of the only places where you could get UK electronic music,
Mhm.
because the focus was on more on dance music, and so either German techno, Detroit techno, Chicago house,
Mhm.
and various things in between. Um, so one day I skipped school as I usually did to
Yeah,
go to
I
the
used
rough
to do
trade
that
shop.
too. Look
And
for records.
why? Why did we? Because the records arrived a certain day at a certain
Mhm.
hour, and quantities were very limited. And you never knew what you would, or sometimes you would actually, because back then, when you were checking magazines like the NME, New Musical Express, or the Melody Maker,
Oh yeah.
all the
Yeah.
shops they had advertising for the stuff that was going to come in supposedly in the next week or two. So you
Hmm.
would see Gescom 12-inch. Oh, I need to
Yeah.
be there
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're only going to
You
have.
had to. You couldn't be at school while that was happening.
No, 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 no. They
No way.
were only going to get like 5 copies of that or something.
Right.
And the day Boards of Canada, the very first EP on Scam, High Scores, arrived, I had no idea who they were. It was the very first releases of them that was commercially released. They had one 10-inch called Twoism that was a mini album, but that was like 100 copies private press for friends.
Mhm. Yeah, that was
Um,
before. I wouldn't have known about
yeah,
that yet.
no, no one. It was just,
Yeah.
and to this day, who knows if it's true? Like there's still like, because back then we were hardcore about it and we heard about this, and there's at least one release that we knew about back then that no one had seen, and that turned out to be like a yeah, would you, yeah, imaginary. It was just they said it was just to add to the legends.
Right to the
And so I'm at that rough trade shop, and there's two floors: the ground floor where it's electronic music, and the first floor where it's indie. And I usually spend more time in the indie
Mhm.
section, but you have to go through it. And at the time, 96, I was already starting to buy a lot of paying more attention to electronic music already for a couple of years.
Yeah, so was I. Like around 96, something was going on between probably like 94 and 96 that was piquing my interest.
Yeah, and for me, it started with Artaker
Oh yeah.
in the shops. Before that, it was LFO, um, the Orb, and stuff like that, and crossover stuff. But I remember distinctively going through the first or the ground floor, and they're playing this turquoise 12-inch, the cover,
Hmm.
very esoteric, very little information. The there's basically everything is like the name of the band is graffiti, the name of the label is graffiti, and it's kind of very lo-fi quality, almost like a failed fax machine thing,
Right.
which I actually used for this aesthetic for the band I did that worked good for me. But
Hmm.
so they're playing the guy who's down there. I don't remember if it was Ivan Smag, the DJ, or Arnaud Robotini, also DJ who went on to win big prizes in movies, and who had this band called Black Strobe, which was sort of a techno revival of EBM. And I hear that and like instant love. I need
Hmm.
this.
Hmm.
And something very strange happened. I was still like a teenager, not a teenager, but still a teenager. And the very first time I did that ever, I asked, "How many copies do you have?" We got 5 and we got 4 left. And I bought 3 copies. The first time I bought more than 1 copy of a record. And I meant to do that for friends because I thought, like, I need to spread this. This is so unique and this
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah. I
so easy
understand.
to enjoy.
Hmm.
And the thing is that I realized now that that 12-inch has 6 tracks. It's got reissued now, but back then it was one of the holy grails of electronic music, dance music. Like a few years later, you would have to pay 500 quid pounds to get an okay copy of that because they only did 500 of the original pressing, I think. Maybe 1,000. I'm not totally sure right now. But
Hmm.
the thing is that from my perspective, coming from Aphex Twin, Autechre, Seafeel, and all that, that was part of that.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Same here.
but a little soon enough, I also realized, oh, there's a couple of tracks on this that could be Daft Punk tracks.
Hmm.
So these worlds were weirdly had some bridges that, like, if your culture was there, you wouldn't necessarily notice. And if your culture was there, you wouldn't necessarily notice that it was home listening music or that it was actually dance floor music. And that was kind of uh, different, I guess, back then. Soon enough, with their first album, Music Has the Right to Children, which got signed on Warp, um, co-released with Scam, their original label. So basically, that Scam will get like a paycheck forever because that album is one of the biggest classics of
Oh,
electronic
absolutely.
music.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's definitely a top tier.
Yeah,
Top.
uh, it's both a great album and also a gateway album into electronic music.
Hmm.
And I think it was Chris here who said um, Boards of Canada has only sold 150K. Well, that's not true. I don't know where you're getting your data, but like that's 100% not true. I can tell you
That doesn't
from
seem right.
no, but I know from Like I know the people at Warp or some people, and I've seen the numbers back then and how many times it's been reissued, etc. But then again, there's another aspect. Remember how a few months ago the number one artist on Spotify was Aphex Twin?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because one track of his was used somehow, somewhere, and it made it the number one listened artist.
Oh, okay.
And
Maybe in a
Boards of
video game or
Canada,
something.
yeah, and Boards of Canada, besides however many copies they sell, which is very significant, and I believe much upcomingly, much more so, they're everywhere.
Hmm.
Like whether we know it or not, no, whether we notice it or not, it's a band that has basically uh, become part of the DNA of our modern time.
Yeah, well, it's hard for me to see or understand how many people kind of outside of our bubble know
Yeah,
of it or not. You know, like I was saying when I met Angie, she was like, "Well, a guy, a dude who knows Boards of Canada, that's like ridiculous." Like the last four guys I went out with, like, that that would have just wasn't even on their radar, right? It's just kind of an you know when it's in your wheelhouse, you just don't realize it. But you're saying you think that the audience is much broader than I think.
yeah. I mean, I saw them live in 2001 or 2000. I think it was late December 2000 or 2001 at the Lighthouse Party in London, which was the beginning of what became the All Tomorrow's Party Festival. That was the very first party organized by the producers of that, and it was a warp centric event. And Prefuse 73 did his very first European appearance there. Aphex Twin was playing, Autechre, Pled, uh, a lot of people, including friends of mine, and Boards of Canada. And I remember back then in the bootlegging days, which Frank here on screen is very familiar with, since Frank is a vinyl aficionado, but also cassette
Yeah,
freak.
just everything. Yeah, everything. I'm like kind of format agnostic, I would say, but I love records and yeah, but cassettes. I found that to really be a great niche for me to find that like the music that just has like maybe just a slight odd twist that is kind of like what Boards of Canada does, right? Because it's not just electronic music. There's something in there that's just a little bit different in answer, and that's why I like cassettes because there's so much of that stuff out there, home
Mm.
dubbed, for the most part.
Part of the market, did you see that part of the marketing of this new Boards of Canada record is they sent out VHS cassettes with
Saw that,
visuals?
yeah, I saw that. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I saw that. Yeah.
And
Hey,
also
Cindy, I just
one of
pulled up
the
to my house.
yeah.
I just pulled out. I was just at some retreat for work. It was like high end. I had to drive 3 hours back home. So I'm going to roll into the house. Uh,
Yeah, come back if you can, and otherwise that's fine. Maybe someone else will. There's room
okay.
for
Yeah. Let me get
six
to it.
people. Mm. But one of
Okay.
the things
All right. I'll
also
see you a
that
little bit.
yeah. Another part of what created the mystique around Boards of Canada. I think it was around 2000 14, 15. There was a record store day when they basically put to a one-sided record with one track. They hid it in the bins in various record stores around the world. To this day, apparently, there's 6 copies in existence that have been discovered. And the track is a very short, like very esoteric track, but it's like obviously became an instant like uber collectible. And uh, so they're the kind of band that does stuff like that. I remember for the promotion of what I think their strongest album, Geogadi, they had kaleidoscope, with the lights, toys, and stuff like that. And they were never for sale. They were just distributed there and there in different fashions. And that album as well, if I pulled the right one, of course I didn't. Uh-huh. Back when this was released in 2001 or 2, yeah, this is a triple album, and it had an etching on one of the sides. So they basically, uh, yeah, and fairly cryptic uh, etching that to this day, this and so many things around the titles of their songs or stuff being said in their songs is being analyzed by music nerds and math nerds and all that. I think they even don't they have a song called "Music is Math" actually, which is indeed the case, and we could talk about that with Grass if he came on. Actually, um, did I eat VHS? Yeah, VHS was my diet for since I was a kid, for sure. Yeah, I do. I still have a VCR. Um, well, what else? Yeah, I think it's like it's probably the strongest, but like I really think that between High Scores, the first 6-track EP, Music Has the Right to Children, Gioghetti, and also the EP in a beautiful place out in the country. Between these four releases, there's nothing, no fat, nothing to throw away here. Uh, yeah, 20, yeah, 30 years ago. Actually, it's funny because maybe I should put it that on Instagram. When that first EP was released, the High Scores EP, I bought it and I was writing for magazines and I wrote a review uh, of um, of it for a magazine. And as it was a very limited release, 500 copies, if I remember correctly, my review was by the time you're reading this, obviously it's going to be too late, but now you can't say you haven't been warned. This band is going to probably make amazing things. And I believe I was not wrong on that one. How you doing, Grass?
Good, man. How you doing?
Well, I'm on the mend, but if you've heard my voice in the past 2 weeks, you see that it's pretty good. I see that you're wearing a
Good.
T-shirt that is totally appropriate to the topic.
Oh, yeah,
Vintage
totally.
electronics, Ghost in the Machine.
Yeah, man. Back in the day, Cubase. We
Yeah,
needed one of these computers to run Cubase.
Cubase. Yeah, or yeah, there was also the Commodore. Yeah, yeah. So people were using also the Tracker as a program. For those who don't know what Grass was talking about here, it's Cubase was basically very light software that a lot of people used to make music in the 80s, 90s. You
Yes.
basically just needed an Atari and a sampler and a MIDI keyboard, and that's it.
Yeah, and when I started working with Gadget, which was like 94, 95, came from like Jamaica and they were using the what was it, the 1050 Atari. and using like
No, 1080, 1080.
1080. Yes, he threw one at me during a session once, and yeah, so he brought all that in, and he was doing all the early hip hop around here, and that's where I was like, oh, I was just using like really primitive, like the Casio ones that you can do like a dog bark and like a 2-second
Yeah.
sampler, and I was trying to like make beats with pause cassettes. And he was like, yo, like, come on in, bring all your breaks. So I brought the breaks, and then he was like, okay, loop them up. And I'm like, I don't know how to use this stuff.
Yeah.
And
Well, like the thing is that the fun part of it was if I so there was two models of the Atari that you could use for Cubase. There was the 180 that had like the keyboard plus like a big chunk of place, and you would insert the disc with the program. And then there was I think I don't remember which number, but there was a less advanced one, less advanced, where basically um, um, yeah, the thing with the 180 was much easier to save your what you were doing, and the other one, I think, you had to go through a whole ordeal to save what you were doing, and you couldn't save different. It was a nightmare with the other one, but that was basically the main difference. But when you use that, that was literally um, where the whole Tetris music making started. Like that, you could have a complete lack of musical education, but if you had a good ear and you were like patient, yeah.
yeah, I loved it. It was mind blowing to me. But you're talking about the Boards of Canada. Like here, there's a distro here, and they were carrying Warp, and a bunch of the dudes there were like, "Yo, you got to check out." And the first one I heard was the black 12-inch with the 3 photos on
Yeah, yeah,
it.
this one.
Yes, that one.
Mm.
That was the first one I heard, and
That's the last great one, as far as I'm concerned.
okay, cool.
It's absolutely. I listened to it for the first time in a long time again this this afternoon. I was talking with Dom, seeking a thread about it since
Yeah,
he
yeah,
missed it, and I still think like the third track in the title track uh, is. I was explaining to him that for me, even if it's electronic music, there's like basically one line of text kind of sung through different types of effects, vocoder, blah blah blah. But listening to that songs makes me feel like how the cover of the Gun Club's Miami
oh,
looks like.
well, yeah, really, cool, like
You see
greened
that?
out.
Yeah, looking down with this like sort of green,
Yeah,
and so there's no context because it's a shot from under, and I think there's some yellow, and there you kind of
yeah,
understand. You see them on the bottom of the picture,
yeah.
probably in a car or something, and that's it. And there's sort of like a quietness, a calmness to it, a coolness, but not in the sense, oh, we're cool. And that's how Boards of Canada feels, that music to me.
And does that EP still stand up? Because I haven't
Oh
heard it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh yeah, okay, cool, great. And what did you guys think about the name Boards of Canada? Because I have a different connection than I think you would have.
Well, Boards of Canada, the name came from obviously this production company that was doing documentaries in Canada,
Hmm.
and they took it because they were inspired by the aesthetic of these documentaries.
And they were getting them in school like we were in
Yeah,
Toronto?
yeah.
Okay. See, I thought that was just a Toronto thing until that band came out, and I'm like, what are they calling it for? This is we used to have to put they would put
This
them
is
on the
ours.
projectors. That That's so whenever I hear Boards of Canada, I think of the 16 millimeter film going in the classroom, you know?
You know, one of the things that we kind of talking about here about Boards of Canada is that I think they were so part of the zeitgeist in the sense that the 90s was a massive shift in political global sociology.
True.
So
Yeah.
with the fall of the Soviet Union and all that, suddenly people didn't really believe in politics anymore, in the sense that you had to prove yourself. We stopped believing blindly. So basically, this is the time where you can't tell people how to think anymore, and that's what Blowers of Canada are doing. They're just giving clues. They're never saying, "Here's how it is." They're never making a statement of. Bold statement about here's how we do it, here's how it's supposed to be done, but they give these clues, the Boards of Canada, certain sounds, certain numbers in certain contexts. Um, I think it was really perfect for the time. And remember, another thing that was very connected to Canada, but more to Vancouver, that is so much an incarnation of the 90s, the X Files.
Yeah, totally.
Even if tonally, Boards of Canada have very little to do with the X Files, but it's kind of the positive side of the X Files. But it's in the same vein of like suddenly not like questioning authority, and in the case of Boards of Canada is like it's not confrontational like the X Files. It's like we're gonna build our own world that is outside of temporality.
Yeah, beautiful. I dig it. And like you know, uh, well, okay, just for a pause for a second, those VHSs that were getting sent out, did you get one in the mail?
No, no, I didn't. They sent only a few, and I'm not. I mean, if I really wanted, I could get one. I could ask some friends, but like as I said, like I'm not. I wanted to talk about it not because I'm a fan, because uh, I still think believe the music holds up, but it's not a band that challenges me anymore. Like I've been around them for 30 years,
Right.
and the one track that they've so the new album is going to come out in the end of I think it's on 29th of May,
Okay.
and they've released one track of it. I think it's going to have 19 tracks, which is not abnormal for Boards of Canada. They usually have short tracks, longer tracks, different
Mhm.
formats. It's going to be a double LP, I think, and I will listen to it, but I'm not excited by it.
Yeah, I hear you. I haven't checked them in a long time, but I was really excited about what was on those VHSs. I kept
Yeah,
checking YouTube, and I was like, "This is fascinating. This I like all this like blown out, VHS art that's happening." I was like, "This is great." I'm like totally in.
Boards of Canada are from
Is it
no, they're from
Scotland?
Wales, if
Wait,
I remember correctly. No, from Scotland.
okay.
Yeah. Um, but when I say I'm not excited by it, I'm still very happy for the world in a way to see that they will like deliver a new album, because I know there's younger people than me that are like that is massive for them in a way that us old timers it's difficult to understand. Hello, Ron. And that's why it's not just a belief I have. It's based on numbers and based on um, on my experience. So basically, for a few years, I did in France. I was writing promo sheets for releases for Warp, and I
Oh,
did some promotion.
cool.
And I've met some of the guys behind it, and And I follow that. Like I mean, I'm sure everyone here has their pet peeve, um, but I'm obviously I'm interested in the in I guess with them I'm more interested in right now in 2026 in the business part of things than the music. I
As
leave
the
the possibility
rollout,
to be sorry.
as in the rollout of it, or like the promo of it, or
No,
when you
yeah,
talk.
well, everything.
Okay,
How this will reach people, what they will do. I think it's interesting that they only do like four formats, like digital, CD, and there's only one color variant, like like clear red, for a record that will sell in the tens of thousands.
yeah, like my son is at Cal Arts doing experimental pop, and they called me last week and they're like, "Why didn't you tell me about Boards of Canada?" And I'm like, I've told you about so much, but I didn't tell you about that. And they've been following some of the videotape releases, and they're talking about it now. They've been into Aphex Twin, and they do like full classes just on Aphex and stuff. But Boards of Canada's always been, I guess, a little under that.
Funnily enough, like Ron here and Rich, they talk about like BOC for old timers. It also means Blue Oyster Cult. There's a connection. There's a very, very nerdy connection. So the band that basically helped Boards of Canada get signed, basically they were first signed on Scam, which is Otaker's mates.
Okay.
Andy Maddox is their best mate from Rochdale, Manchester. And then, of course, when the band became too big for Scam, Otaker won Warp, and they facilitated the transition. The very first Otaker release, not on Warp, a 12-inch Cavity Job samples a Blue Oyster Cult track where there's a recording of a dentist drilling.
Oh, cool. I could dig it. That's
Yeah.
so funny.
Well, that's nostalgia if I don't know it. Spectrum Archives. Luke Vibert and his sort of funky drum and bass project Plug. I have a bunch of them of these here. Let me see. Um, mm-mm. Uh, here's what he's talking about.
Oh, yes.
Plug on Blue Planet.
So is that like 96?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Okay.
97. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a bunch of others.
Don't know those ones.
Yeah, these ones now I don't think they're worth much, but back then they got super hyped and they disappeared from the shelves quickly. But hello, Douglas. Hello, Daniel. Boto. Yeah, there's a Blue Oyster Cult one. I don't remember the name, but I researched that. I'm nerdy enough that like you can trust me on that one.
Cool.
Yeah, well, but yeah, so I guess I wanted to have like deep discussions like that. I mean, Boards of Canada was the excuse. Doesn't mean we have to only talk about them. And I like to just use any sort of tangent to go wherever. And you told me earlier, we had like a quick exchange, Grass, that you were preparing a video on John Cage.
Yes, yes.
And funny enough, 2 weeks ago, when I was at the big record fair in Den Bosch in the Netherlands, I picked up this This bad boy.
Oh, I've never seen one. Nice.
Music Before Revolution. 4 LPs, including the fourth one, only conversations between these giants. But some early Cage from like the 40s till the mid 60s.
Cool.
I
And what
mostly
year?
bought it because Morton Feldman and Toshi Shiyanagi. I'm not yet. I mean, I looked up on my discogs how many records of John Cage I do have, and it was a little more than I remembered. I don't have many John Cage records. I have, like classical music with like split albums or
Yep, totally.
compilations. But I've seen, when I was a teen, I saw gigs of his prepared piano being performed, and I loved it.
Beautiful.
And then I saw him performing on old recordings of TV shows. He used to demonstrate like true freedom in improvisation in contemporary music, and that was quite esoteric, I thought, and I didn't really pursue it uh, like on my music path. He's kind of been parallel and on the side. I know the importance, but I've always thought he was more a man of concepts than results, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but that's all I need sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's your take?
Well, my doorway in the late 80s was just reading the fanzines like Sonic Death, like through Sonic Youth talking about them. So that's the way I got into like the Stooges, MC5, John Cage, Sun Ra, all of that. So I just started buying the John Cage things and realizing that everything that I bought with John Cage's name on it, that was just completely different.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll just keep grabbing these. So that was my door. Where was your door?
But I wonder though, because he also wrote books about music, but also about mycology. Um, the appeal, was it the music itself or the fact that he was an outsider?
For me?
Yeah.
For me it was like because it didn't sound like music, and
Yeah.
that like blew my mind. I was like, oh, this is good. It's like scraping. So the only things that I can like compare it to in my brain is like those like Autobahn Neubauten videos that I would see on TV, where it's like, oh, you're like grinding and like cutting stuff and like, yelling over it. And I was like, oh, it's got to be in from that world for me. I didn't realize he was like considered like classical or anything. I just thought he was like an old dude that Sonic Youth were into. And that,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I said, every time that I got something, it just sounded completely different. Some was more like mellow and some was more like cut and paste, and I like that cut and paste stuff. But
It's
yeah,
funny though, because you mentioned the Sonic Youth connection. I
yeah,
was talking about Boards of Canada, and
hmm
we're ending up like being excited by stuff like that,
yeah,
which for we I mean, uh, here's another sort of even closer transition between the two worlds, because what I mean is that we start as rockers.
yeah.
You know this Christian Markley.
No encore, no.
Christian Markley, he's the turntablist guy.
Oh, the guy that glues and breaks them together.
Yes.
Uh, yes, I saw. That's they did
Look,
Saturday Night Live back in the day.
and here, Jane Birkin, John Cage,
Oh, cool.
Louis Armstrong,
So
Jimi Hendrix, Fred Friss, Johann Strauss. John Zorn. So I think that you and I, we share this this sort of joy we get of being challenged, of seeing something that this is not what it's supposed to be, and instead of rejecting it, like, so what does that mean about the world? What does that mean about what people told us so far?
Yes. That's perfect. And like I always appreciated Sonic Youth just name dropping, because sometimes it would take me years to find whatever they're talking about. And half the time it's not music, like rock bands, you know?
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But that encore one, that's the guy that breaks the records and glues them back together and plays them on a few
Yeah.
turntables.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I need to score some of that. So did they put out many releases with that idea? That there only is his only
It
one?
depends. I mean, and not all are of, they're not all of the same interest. This one is actually great. This one
Okay.
is really, really good music. I'll play it on Friday.
Okay, cool.
Um, but like here you have Douglas Gilbert, who's asking if what I think of shoegaze and, for instance, slow dive. Everyone is alive. I don't know everyone is alive. I know his name is alive, but
Yeah.
uh, I that's kind of where I start in music. Like I start with Nirvana and the Pixies and stuff, but shoegaze is really when like I get really into it with Pale Saints, Sea Feel, obviously My Bloody Valentine, and the shoegazy part of Spaceman Free and the various projects around it. Yeah, I do have some ride and stuff like that, but like for me, it's really about these bands.
Yeah.
Um,
Spacemen 3 were the one that really like melted
mm,
my mind in like 87, 88. And I was like, oh, and then when Mudhoney first came out, they did a cover of Spacemen 3. And I was like, oh, what the fuck is happening? I was like, oh, the worlds are getting together, you know?
and um, uh, one of the latter project of Spaceman Free, experimental audio research, featuring Kevin Shields
Fields.
from My Bloody Valentine, did
Hmm.
reference John Cage heavily, as did a sort of shoegaze adjacent band, which is Seafield, John Cage Bubblegum, one of their earliest singles, which is one of their best, in my opinion.
Right.
Hello, Dom.
Hey, Dom. Oh, does he have a Spaceman shirt on?
No, he has a. He has firstly he has no sound, and he's got like a Black Angels album, as a T-shirt, which is fine.
Yeah.
Because they basically ripped it. Like when you only see that much, half of the design, it could be the Black Angels, it could be
No, it's
it could be Jessamine also.
oh, good band.
Yeah. How you doing,
I
Dom?
figured I'm doing fabulous. Just finished the whole dinner routine, and I heard Spaceman 3. I was like, it was kismet. I better hop on. And I wanted to talk to Grass too.
Oh.
Yeah. What's up, man?
Thoughts on Matmos, asked Temple, but they're playing in Stockholm in a few weeks, and Matmos is a band I've always wanted to like ever since their very, very, very first 2 CDs back in the early mid 90s, and I never really loved them. I think it's always interesting. I kind of like their project Pink Soft Truth, but same, I'm not like completely obsessed with it either. And I did keep an album of theirs that I think Dom is gonna love me for it, and I hate that he loves me for that. It's the split album with the collaboration with the Rachels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good job. I don't know what about your hatred is Rachel's, what that's about, but we're not talking about Rachel's. We're talking about Boards of Canada, I guess. Which Stunchy made fun of me when I talked about my favorite Boards of Canada release today. He called it, what did you call it? The Boards of Canada's Beatles release?
Beatles, yeah. And I like the Beatles, but I can also use the Beatles as a pejorative. And in this case, it kind of was. But I want to listen back to it. Dom is talking about the single from 2006,
5 or
7.
6, something like that.
And it's true that the first track on it, even though it has guitars and strings,
Dave Van Cowboy, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good, but would you agree also that it's quite epic and grandiose?
Yeah, sweeping. It's got that great video of the astronaut jumping from at the time was the highest jump you could possibly make. I think it was like 1961. So it's a fascinating video for what that's worth, but the music itself is quite epic, and I don't know.
And the other tracks on it are, I think, if it was all like that, I wouldn't necessarily like it, but I would respect it. The other tracks, I think, are like,
To be honest, I haven't listened to Boards of Canada in many years now, and that's the only release I own.
Did you go and listen to the link I sent you today?
No, I haven't done anything. I've been running around, but I will. My entry into that band was like around the 2000-2001 when everyone was talking about Gio Gotti. Was it Gio Gotti that came out right around the time?
Gio Gotti is the second. It's
2099 maybe
2001 or 2002.
I just remember that being everywhere. I was deep into college radio, college rock, all of it, and
that was very well.
Everyone was listening to that, whether you were into electronic music or indie rock, whatever it was. So that was my entry point.
It's kind of like, I think it was to electronic music what in the early 2000s what Dr. Octagon was to rap in the mid 90s.
Yeah, totally. Blue Flowers.
Flowers or Deltron 3030. Yeah, sure.
Unfortunately,
Come on, Douglas, and then we can. It's just for people. If you ask me questions, I will try not to break too much the flow of the conversation on screen. So if there's an opportunity to answer you, I will. Otherwise, just come on screen and discuss it. That's the best way. The link to participate is pinned up in the chat. Sorry, guys.
The G record of Boards of Canada, I remember like the first year I opened the store, this guy came in and he was like, I need that record. And I'm like, I have one. And he was like, I really want it. And I was like, I don't really want to sell it. And then he was like, I'll give you 500 American for it. And I was like, yeah, totally. So I ran home, grabbed it and sold it. And I was like, oh. So I haven't heard it since like, I don't know, 2011, the most.
So I've heard most of, I probably heard every Slow Dive songs. My favorite ones are the EPs and the remixes. But psychedelia says that Michael Yonkers just passed.
That's crazy. I just bought
bought some records.
I just bought the last Michael Yonkers record I didn't have. Wow. Okay. He was probably pretty old at this point, but one of the early guys recording his own music at home with his own equipment and everything. Not the first, but early. He was pretty early.
To go on a tangent, as I was looking for that Matmos Rachel's record that we could have discussed, I didn't find it, but I found this that I think it's not shoegaze, but it's sort of like stoner.
It could only have come from one decade.
Yeah, but it's on Cranky, but it's sort of like lo-fi stoner in a way. I don't know how to describe it well, but
I don't remember what that sounded like. I don't own that. If I remember correctly, it was pretty good, but I don't.
It's really good, yeah. I think that even like Alex Motoric Diamond Marimba I think he still enjoys that, and for him to still enjoy rock, it
Yeah,
takes
that's saying something.
yeah. I mean, it's pretty loose in a way, but it's psychedelic rock, but coming from an indie perspective, a punk rock perspective, and sort of you could totally see them gaze at their shoes as well. That's why
Much like Jessamine that you mentioned earlier, a very similar thing.
Jessamine, Amp, all these bands that
Well, Amp was even a little more like out there, a little more ambient, you might say, but
yeah. Her says that he didn't know he was still alive. It's fair. Okay. So you have triggered maybe some woo buying.
yes, good. Those guys could use the support. They're awesome.
Jam rock, stoner, shoegaze. Yeah.
That genre or subgenre, stoner rock, always annoyed me. I was like, I really don't understand why.
No, I mean, back then when this was released, it was marketed as post rock, obviously.
Yeah.
Like there was the whole like side of post rock that became math rock, and this has nothing to do with math.
No.
But I was really into these records, and like a lot of these records of like Ottaker, Aphex Twin, and all that were so high and in demand in the late 90s, they went down, and now it's if you're interested in these records, it's now or never before they become the records you see on walls.
Stuff like the Slow Dive and Ride, I always had a good appreciation for that, but I never really totally went full into those bands. I always found them to be a little,
Slow Dive, I'm with you.
Incredibly exciting. I enjoy them. I just never was too excited by them.
Me neither.
Do you guys throw Swerve Driver in there? Because I always thought they were outside of that box, but I hear
Swerve Driver were like they're labeled as a shoegaze band, but they're more like of an alt rock band that has some elements of that.
Yeah, because those first 3 EPs were great, and to me they were like way more Dinosaur Jr.-y.
I think that Pygmalion from Slow Dive is the best Slow Dive album, especially the CD version or the bootleg featuring the extra tracks that are the best ones of the album, as far as I'm concerned. Hello, Pala.
Of that stuff, I enjoyed Ride Nowhere is the most, I'd say. The other
so
band that comes
Ride,
to mind is
if you enjoyed Nowhere, which is the only album you need to have of theirs, the EPs before that, the red and the yellow ones, these are worth getting. But I guess that with our sensibilities, you'd be more like me, of a Pale Saint kind of guy.
I just kind of missed them at the time. It was just a band I heard of but never listened to.
And the guy from the Spain Pale Saints, he did this project called a Spoonful Hybrid with the guy from Unrest.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
The other one that comes to mind is Teenage Film Stars. I found that at some point, thanks to that was probably being in a record store and something being recommended to me. That was a little more like a sea feel. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. I think it's just called Star. I forget what it's called.
Who you talking about again? Sorry.
Teenage Film Stars.
Oh. Teenage Film Stars were more like C86 for me, if I remember correctly, and more jungle, indie, but maybe I'm wrong.
I remember it being more like a sea feel, a little more like electronica influence. But again, I haven't listened to these records in a while, and I think I sold that, to be honest.
See, to say that, Herc, that means you're American. You're more into rock and roll than we are in Europe. No, but like I'm serious about it. Like Pale Saints are obviously a more interesting band than Ride. Ride is cool. Ride is a cooler band in a way, but it's like Grass was talking about Swerve Driver. Swerve Driver probably appealed more to Americans than My Bloody Valentine back then.
Yeah. Well, in my crew.
Yeah, but it's logical. Like I saw that just got like a weird record, like kind of in between all of this. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
I think
I
so.
didn't know you were after that. Like it's one of my favorite bands, even if I only like a very very tiny
Yeah,
time in their discography. And the one you
yeah.
got, it's good, but I don't need it honestly.
Well, I just got that impulsively. I'm talking about the Verve.
Okay.
Because
Oh,
I didn't remember what that EP was. I'm like, oh, I saw it for $15. I'm like, I'll just take it. And then I got totally scorched last night about it. Yeah, Teenage Film Star. Yeah,
your
but I am looking.
RSP release.
Yeah, I am looking for the first album, which I've loved since I don't know, since I've discovered the Verve, and yeah, one of the first one or two EPs. They just are never here, so I guess I have to go to the Netherlands for those, maybe.
Sylvie, I just got an Arcane 12-inch, like literally yesterday in the mail. And I love the idea of Arcane more than the result, but there are some tracks that are really worth it. But I love Arcane when they're not doing Arcane. I love them when they're doing dub, basically. You
Isn't
guys familiar with Arcane?
isn't there an Arcane related release coming out?
I mean,
I could
they started
have.
to perform again. Steve Davis told me he saw them open for Seafeel at the Cube in Bristol. He said it was shit, which I wasn't surprised. But I mean, they've been like it takes a while before you get. I mean, it's not like bicycle, shoegaze. Ah, yeah, Edward's boy. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I agree with Kaylee. I saw Ride in '91 live, and it was amazing to experience. But because it was like when you guys think about, we all heard about how Sonic Youth is the loudest band, blah blah blah. No, 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 no. If you've seen Ride in the early '90s, Sonic Youth is like baby material compared to Ride. I mean, it was insane. Yeah. And I've seen both bands in the early '90s. But Bowery Electric, it's
That's a
funny
good
you
one,
say
man.
that, Herc, because they were released on Cranky, the same label as Magnog. But did anyone care about it? It was a minuscule thing, wasn't it?
I heard about them like in 2000 with their third album, which was I think on Beggar's Banquet.
Yeah, Lush
I
Life, which is not good at all.
I was intrigued by it. It caused me to go backwards,
Mm.
but I don't remember that one at all. I just remember it being a
So
college radio thing.
I was into Bowery Electric from the get go because what they were marketed as one of the post rock bands, and post rock. We're not going to do the whole history, but basically, even if it starts before, it becomes a marketable thing with Tortoise. That's when suddenly, like, shops have post rock, and it becomes something like that a teen can stand behind. And Bowery Electric were part of that, but in reality, they sounded more like a mixture of Scorn and Seafeel because they were using loops and the beats were more coming from sort of hip hop and dub rather than rock and roll. And they had the ethereal contrast that Seafeel had as well with this
Yeah.
like, but it's a band like the first two records have aged like especially the second one. It's really the second one and the EPs after the second one.
Mhm.
And that was very different from anything. It had like sort of a trip hop quality, you could say, but like back then, there was all these weird labels in the '90s,
It
like
was probably
with
labeled trip hop, wasn't it?
no, no, it was still labeled like post rock on the stickers and all that. But I remember when Scorn released the Evanescence, which is one of the most important albums of the '90s in terms of influence on, like the whole thing about like the Velvet Underground, Nico, like they only sold like 1,000 copies, but everyone who bought it started a band. Scorn is a band like that with Evanescence. And I remember the stickers back then. When you were a teen, you thought it was cool, but like in reality, it was so cheesy. They called it dark ambient dub.
Hmm.
Like the dark was like, like
Yeah.
yes, the music was dark, but like, come on.
Yeah.
You could
It's like,
like say it's like if you like Alice Cooper, buy this. Like that would be.
it's like in those, like any bad movie you see where the voiceover has to tell you what's going on in the plot. It's one of those things.
I love the Cranes that Vinyl and Kick mentions here, but for me, they were never a shoegaze band. They were, even if there were some connections, but they had also industrial goth. I mean, they were. I saw them open for The Cure.
Crane. I'm thinking of Crane, Crain. Cranes.
No, but Cranes is really. It has like this singer who's amazing. She has a. Usually she sings with this like girly voice, but sometimes she will go deep like Susie from Susie and the Benches when she went opera. She could do that, and the early Crane stuff has like drum machines and like synthesizers, and it's kind of like industrial a little bit. But
Well,
yeah,
and then the band Crane has members of Matmos in it, which is funny.
Oh.
And Rodan and Shipping News. So
yeah,
there you
I
go.
remember now.
I remember Rodan.
Oh,
That's more of an American thing. You guys must have loved them. Like for me, it was a little bit. I prefer Brise Glace, obviously.
Snooper's a new band, isn't it?
I don't know.
I think it's
No
a new
idea.
band. I think I've heard them at some point. I can't remember though. Crane is. I don't think Crane was more of a rock band. I don't know.
No, he's talking about the Cranes because the Cranes were
Crane,
sort
okay.
of ethereal indie with like.
I don't think I ever heard Cranes. I don't think I
You
ever heard
remember
them.
Curve?
Yeah.
Curve, which has aged terribly, I think. Like it's unlistenable anymore.
Oh, they were on Dedicated too. They were on Dedicated Cranes.
Yeah, see, another connections. Earlier today, Dom and I we were talking about like the difference between now and then, and how back then there was much less releases. Basically, we were talking about how there's always the naysayers who say that like first there's the people who say there's no good music anymore, and then there are people, often artists or journalists, who say, well, there might be some great music, but like who will ever find it now? Which basically means that you have to go through so much that like it becomes invisibilized. And when we discussed with Dom, we remember that back then in the 90s, yes, there was much less music to go through, but we had to go through so much more effort to get to it.
Totally.
Yeah.
So in the end, it evens out. So basically, the main factor is dedication.
Yeah, and word of mouth.
Yeah,
Like-
but even the word of mouth, you still have to be dedicated to be able to hear the word of mouth from a certain like
Sure.
lower layer.
You're probably still putting the same amount of time. It's just the amount that you're
Yeah.
taking in is the difference. But I guess probably less bands making less music being made because the means to make it was harder. So in theory, there was less coming out also.
There
Now
was less
there's more-
knowledge also, like doing a private press label was not as easy as it is now.
Yeah.
You believe,
I don't
and
know
people
about
also. Sorry, go on, Grass.
I don't know about that because like I was never on a major label, but we always pressed all our own stuff. And it was because all the bands that were coming in, they were doing the same thing. So I'd ask them about the pressing plants. And
Yeah,
that's
there's that, but Grass, you still had to sell the records, and back then you needed probably a distributor more than now. Now you can have a Bandcamp and self-distribute.
true. All my sales were usually consignment or out of the back of the van.
See, Herc says it like those cranes back then, like they probably, I mean, you'd have to be there when they released or to be lucky to find them secondhand later in a college city where someone bought them early and moved on. That no other way around before 98 and eBay.
Yeah, Cranes I totally missed. I don't think I've ever heard a Cranes record. I do recognize the Forever cover. That's about
Yeah,
it.
because it's a painting from the French. What's his name again? Gauguin. No, no, not Gauguin. Giverny. It's the
Let's see if I
dancer.
can see.
It's got like a cool song on it, but it's a little bit overproduced. That Crane's loved one. All the stuff before that is much more interesting and cheaper,
Okay.
much cheaper. Hello, Daniel.
Hello.
It's going.
How's it going, Daniel?
Hey, I'm doing well. I'm glad you're doing this again, Stunty.
Yeah, I think if people are into it, I'll try to do it once a month at least, and we'll see from there. How do you relate to the discussion? You who, I mean, I've known Daniel through the streams we do, and him opening himself to more left field kinds of music. From when I first started to see your name in the VC, you had more conservative rock and roll taste. I would say a little bit. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but when you were younger, as unfortunately for you, you are the senior here on screen today. Were you at the stage in your youth into more like alternative stuff, or did you have to? How? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I'm more of a child of the 80s. So that music during that time had a big impact on me. You know, if I was to pick out what I really enjoyed, I was younger. It was more the hair bands during that time. And I did get into some of the more alt type music, but that was later on. I mean, and just like what you said, it's taken me a while to kind of, navigate through all these different areas of music and kind of end up where I am today. And then also Dom and his show been a big help for me as well at opening up my mind to new music. So yeah, the 80s had a big impact on getting me moving in the music direction, but I was kind of locked into what was popular and less on the outskirts.
I will say it bluntly. As a European, I have, I mean, after the 60s pop and the rock and roll from the 50s, the first rock band from the US that starts to interest me genuinely is the Pixies.
Okay.
Before the Pixies, there's nothing that I care for in the American 80s. I mean,
No Dinosaur, no Sonic.
yeah, but like what I love the most from the some Sonic Youth, yeah, Sonic Youth would be the exception, but I care more about the
Big
Pixies.
Big Black. I know you like Big Black.
Yeah, see, there's always exceptions. Yeah, yeah, Big Black, Sonic Youth, but Dinosaur Jr. no. And like for me, for example, Husker Du, absolutely zero interest in them, zero. And I tried, but
how are you about the Minutemen?
No interest in that. No interest in the Descendants. No interest in X. No interest in any of this sort of punk rock from the US.
I agree with a lot
whatsoever.
Of that. Minutemen was important for me, so
it's I guess that's
almost for me.
Well, their thing was just that they were so left of punk rock to me, which is what I loved about them. They were truly doing their own thing. Like they weren't cool at all.
No, not to me anyway. I played with Firehose like maybe 2 or 3 times, and still I was like, yeah, I can't feel it.
You need to tell the story of your band and your time and everything you did, Grass, at some point.
At some point, yeah, totally. But the first thing that I really loved of Minutemen related was that Mike Watt did that solo album with Piss Bottle Man, but he did a cover of Funkadelic, and I'm like, oh my god, this is Funkadelic, and that's Jay Mascis doing the guitar solo, and he hired a bunch of people from Funkadelic to play on that with him, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But yeah, Minutemen never touched me. I'm a dinosaur. The first two dinosaur albums, or three, I guess. That's my jam with those early Sonic Youths.
I mean, I will agree that like for Dinosaur Jr. But the thing is that they started after the Pixies, didn't they? The first Dinosaur Jr. is like
No,
88,
85.
85. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
But
a little before.
the thing is, I will fully admit that like I can't stand Jay Mass's voice. I just can't.
Okay.
As much as I love them, I would grow weary and tired of the soloing. I'd be like, all right, enough already with the guitar solos. Come on.
I'm so, and that too. That's why I love the
I like his
Sebado.
voice. I like his voice.
But Sebado for me is
Yes.
the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Like
Sebado's so good.
everything, all the early Sebado stuff up until
Probably Big
I
Seven,
from-
I guess.
the first. I mean the what was the one before Harmacy?
No, you have like
that's
Bake
where I'm
Sale,
flipping
Harmacy.
The one before Bake Sale, like Bake Sale and Harmacy, I can't. For me,
Smash,
it's too.
Smash Your Head in the Punk Rock is in there. That's a little after.
No, that's the one. Yeah, that one. I remember sawing them touring, but the one that Grass showed was for me the last one. This one is amazing.
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
tons.
all this early stuff is.
Yeah,
and-
Centrigo.
And funnily enough,
you got lots of Luby.
I go to all of these, and I met Lou Barlow a few times back then as a kid, and I had no idea. I was so naive. I had no idea that he was like a crack heroin head. Like whenever I saw him, it was when he was doing gigs in Paris, and he was with girls and happy
Yeah.
and all that.
Okay.
But I was not old enough to be with them after like 10:30.
Right. Well, Lou's clean now.
So Herkimer,
Ooh.
Herkimer, I like
wouldn't
you,
agree,
but like
I
I want to say that how can I say politely that Herkimer opinion is worth less than Donald Trump's?
well, my question would be: is that the first, Sebado record you heard? Sometimes the first thing you hear is the one you like the best.
But what was the one that you showed again? The one with all the colors. I forget the name.
Let's Smash Your Head in the Punk Rock, I think.
No.
He's talking this one.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know what this one's called. Bubble and Scrape.
Bubble and Scrape. That one has one great song, and the rest is meh, and everything after that, it's not the same band.
No, no good. But the Centrido stuff blew my mind, like right out the gate. I was like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard that band, Daniel?
I haven't.
I think it's not too difficult to enjoy. It's probably more easy now since the whole lo-fi aesthetic has become normalized in a way. He's got a good voice, and the thing with Sebado is that even if it's quite noisy and abrasive, it's got great melodies. He's really, really good at. He's much better at melodies than Jay Mascis. That's my point.
Oh, definitely.
But them
So
coming together is real nice.
Yeah.
Going back to the idea of one great song on a record, what's your options on that? Do you get it, or you just stream that one song, or what's the best route to handle on that one?
One works. If it's a jam,
Yeah.
I'll grab it. I can scratch the rest off. If that jam touches me, I gotta have it.
It's got to be really good, I would say, and it
Yeah.
depends what kind of, if you're talking about a more experimental record where there's like 3 songs and there's one long song and the other 2 are passable or not great, I'd keep that, but I'd like
Sons of
more than
Trans
one song
Victims,
typically.
he names a bunch of other American stuff there, but that I would argue, like first, Virgin Prunes are English, and
Flying Lizards
uh,
is English,
Flying
isn't
Lizard
it?
as well.
Yeah.
But I would argue that Devo, Swans, Residents, Negative Land are not rock bands. So Devo is, but yeah,
Swans plays with rock, but I wouldn't call them rock really.
yeah.
They're scary.
Mhm.
Swans were scary.
Still are.
Yeah.
Well,
There's
not
the-
really anymore. Now he's an old dude with a cowboy hat. He's not scary
No,
anymore.
I know,
mean,
but
just-
those are the people that will rape you in jail. That's the scary they are.
I was going to say to listen to them is I still get scary feeling when I listen to them, to the old records.
On a side note, I toured with Unsane, and it was at the time that their original drummer passed away, and they had the drummer of the Swans playing with them, and
Which is who?
I
Who was
forget
that?
his name. It's like an Italian name.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm blanking out, but
I would argue that Unsane was more scary than Swans.
Yeah.
Exterminator.
I've seen that. It's one of the bands I've seen live the most. Like between 91 and 94, I've seen them 8 times live.
Great.
And it was, I was always like with them, and it was a positive. For those who don't know, Unsane is a noise rock band. Back then, we used to say it was a punk rock band, but if, there was something like really confrontational about what they were doing, similar to Jesus Lizard, but like they were more even less rock and roll. It was like you got like the essence of sort of aggression and dirt and grunge, not grunge music, but like
Gary, New York.
Yeah. 42nd Street.
Yeah.
I used to think Helmet was that band, and because I was listening to Helmet back then, and I was like, oh no, this is the real scary version of Helmet. Helmet was like the pop version.
And
Unsane is it's kind of like you go to New York for the first time, and it's also your last time, but your last time of anything.
Right. That hopefully you just get mugged.
I think it's Vince Signal. I think he's right. Yeah. It's something like that.
And that's John Spencer's nephew or cousin is the Chris guy from Unsane.
Yeah, Chris, the singer from Unsane. Yeah.
Right.
And there's a connection also with another band that was not scary in the same way, but it's a band I know Dom has kind of missed on them, but a very important band for the U.S. underground from back then, the Cop Shoot Cop.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I don't think we ever talked about that. I used to one of the labels I worked at early in the day was with Todd A of Cop Shoot Cop. So I used to actually work with him.
They were brutal.
At the Jet Set label, yeah. He was married to the owner of Jet Set Records. Cool. And he had another band, Fire Eater, or Firewater,
yeah.
And something else too.
The Cop Shoot Cop was also sort of this like dirty New York. Even if they were not really, were they from Chicago, or?
I think so.
I don't know originally.
The first time I saw them was opening for Ministry in the Land of Rape and Honey tour, or Mind a Terrible Thing to Taste or whatever, and that was my introduction. So I put them in that Wax Tracks, like they must be from.
The problem Cop Shoot Cop had, I think, was
New
that
York
being
band.
part of this whole thing, Swans, Unsane, Big Black, is that they were probably the best musicians of the bunch, and being really good musicians that made the music less abrasive in a way, even if it was abrasive, but it was maybe in a performative way. Like I never felt that they were like dangerous. Even when I saw them, it was very impressive and dark, and but it was also like they were really good at melodies, which these other bands were like they were good at riffs, but not necessarily building harmonies and all that. And also the drummer of Cop Shoot Cop was absolutely like he was a genius. Like he
Who
was
was
like
that again?
Joy. He was sort of similar to Joy Barron, the jazz drummer who played with John Zorn and with
Phil Paleo, maybe.
maybe, yeah. And the one band that were kind of all of that, but like the sort of light version of all of that, Girls Against Boys.
Ah, wow. Who's talked about them? And no one has talked about them recently. Touch and
They were
go.
not. They were good, but they were kind of the safe version of all of that in a way.
Yep.
Yeah, a little groovier, right? I mean,
Not necessarily.
They like
Yeah,
knew how to play their instruments.
they had a sampler as well, which meant that it was non-industrial, but it kind of had something edgy on top of it. Good singer, but like probably if they didn't have like the sampler guy, probably wouldn't have noticed them that much. But
And then we're
yeah.
talking in the realm of like Six Finger Satellite, and they seemed like a little different, but still in that like, oh, you guys are a little bit scary, but you got a groove underneath you.
Yeah.
I thought that they were interesting. And then they, you know, LCD Sound System and Chinese Stars and Arab on Radar from that group.
And then you must mention then Reverend Horton Heat.
Why?
Because the guy from Reverend Horton Heat did stuff with the LCD Sound System.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's now a house. He's kind of the Bob Mould of the 90s.
Okay. Too rockabilly for me, or too hippie.
Yeah. It's like remember I think they were Australian. You remember the band The Cows?
Yeah, they were scary. I watched them shoot up.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. They were really scary. They played with Surgery twice here, and I was like, both these bands are wild. You know, like cooking up spoons on stage while they're tuning up, and I'm like, yo, this is insane. Same with Polvo, and I'm like, whoa, you guys are
Polvo?
like,
no shit.
Oh yeah, Polvo at the Knitting Factory. They played with Luscious Jackson, and they were the headliners, and they're all this cooking up, and as they're like starting the songs, they're like injecting, and I was like, wow, you guys real scary.
They're in New York, I guess.
All these bands we're talking about now, they're like they're cult, they're part of the history, and they're historical, and yet like I think probably like the grunge thing completely obfuscated all of this for young heads. Like how would you discover that, and why would you discover that or lean into it if you're like 16 right now?
Yeah, and grunge was really ugly, and it was a really ugly word. You know, it was like noise rock or indie rock, and then all those labels of grunge. It really was confusing to me, you know?
Yeah, but the bands we named, like they're the bands that mattered, and and like bands like
finding those bands now, or don't you think it's just people my age or our age or whoever older that are like trying to find those again for nostalgia? I don't know if people are finding them.
Back then they were the bands that mattered. They were the bands that kept alive like the excitement around rock in the 90s.
Yeah, underground.
And like bands like even on sometimes only for one album, like a band like Distorted Pony. Like it's that was really, really dark and harsh music as well. Like there's bands that kind of half made it, like Girls Against Boys, June of '44, because of the festival circuit, and that they managed to basically tour the whole of Europe, and that may created an economy. And also remember that because of grunge, that's why also Sebado became shit, in my opinion, because Lou Barlow, he got signed by the big labels.
Yeah.
Sub Pop.
No. After that, like
Yeah,
Yeah.
even if it was Sub Pop on the like, it was owned. The catalog was owned by the big labels, and he's been open about it. That like, so what do they expect from me? He
yeah.
completely was like,
Well, like
he
the Folk
didn't do.
Implosion was on major labels, but who signed Sebado later? I
But
can't
even
remember.
Centrido was signed on. There was one album of Centrido that was signed on the. Oh, maybe not Centrido, but like when he came back to Diners a Junior.
Mhm.
Like why, if not for the money?
Yeah, yeah.
Like there was a time they hated each other. Like you couldn't put them in the same room.
Probably
Big
still do.
time. No, that's not true.
They like each other now. They're buddies.
No, they'll hang out in the same room. Like
Yeah, but the money's too good now.
I know those guys, and they're kind of nice to each
They've
other.
gotten kinder with age. Yeah.
Yes, totally. And I think
Kirk,
that
that's not true.
they're just happy to be doing stuff, I think.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I think the album that was so the one that I saw them on was the Sebado. It was Upstream by Sire Records, Seymour Stein.
Oh, I don't have that one.
It's actually okay. It's actually okay. It doesn't measure
if you
up,
compare it to Weezer, yeah, but like
hey. No, yeah, that was the days where like the indie labels would they would take a record they thought was going to do, be their big release and give it to, like Pavement gave Bright in the Corners to Capitol Records to distribute, or as they called it back then, Upstream, which was a fun term of the late 90s, I remember. And so the Sebado did that with Seymour Stein on the Sebado.
And Folk Implosion was also signed on the
MCA.
big label. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the kids' soundtrack. So that brought it like real life from the Harmony shit.
Yeah, but like I don't know if the intention was to make it. Like I remember watching the movie in the theater when it was released.
Yeah.
And it felt like, oh, cool. And then you realize, a little bit too cool in a way. In the sense that like, is it a happy accident, or is it like, okay, let's make the money now? Because I read an article recently that Lou Barlow, he was living in Boston, and his wife wanted to move to she wanted to move to LA. Yeah, exactly. And so he signed a contract with Sire and MCA, and then they could buy a house in LA as well. And then he learned that his wife basically had a lover in LA. And that he was so deep into heroin that he didn't care. He went with it.
Yeah. May I bring an album up?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The Flea record.
The Flea record comes back. Yes.
I have two things to say about it. First, I haven't listened to it. Secondly, because of Flea being featured on the Albino Alligator soundtrack by Michael Brook, I have a good mindset towards Flea, who I know nothing about, and I've never been into the Red Hot Chili Peppers ever in my whole life.
I have not either, but it really is unique music, and he can play trumpet.
Have you guys listened to it, the Dumb and Grass?
Yeah, I was interested in it because of the band on it, which is Jeff Parker's band with Anna Butters and the Enfield band, Enfield Tennis Band. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I didn't find it to be quite as, maybe spectacular as it's being made out to be, but it was an interesting listen, I'll say.
Yeah.
Definitely not basic.
Yeah.
So it's
When
not
I
like
first heard it,
verse, chorus.
well, I'm sorry, what was that?
It's not like verse, chorus like normal songs. It's going a little.
Kind of jazzy.
It's jazzy. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you say it's a jazz album, a jazz rock? How would you describe it, Dom?
I think it's jazz.
It's in the jazz category, yeah.
Okay.
If you played that to Herbie Hancock, what would he say?
Uh-oh.
Herbie? I mean, Herbie would probably go, well, I can make it better.
Yeah, he's like, that's pretty good, kids. He called, hey, Flea, yeah, it's pretty good. Good job. Good try.
But it's weird. Like, it's fun to see this area where we had like Andre 3000 doing his like new age fusion album, which I haven't listened to because everyone has discussed me from it, and I want to give it an honest, clean listen, even though since the album he's released at least 2 tracks, long form tracks on various compilations that I thought were absolutely amazing. So
he contributes to that new Carlos Nino record as well. He's on that.
Yeah, it's true, and I'm less a fan of it than you. I think it's good. It's very more than decent. Carlos Nino is a percussionist, producer from LA who's been around since the late 90s.
He goes
in
back a ways,
electronic
yeah.
music, hip hop, fusion jazz. He's basically sort of the Flying Lotus before Flying Lotus that never made as big, but it has like a cult following for good reason. But he often does these kind of albums, Carlos Ninos with friends, and they're always interesting. And he has great taste in the people he works with. But I haven't yet found one that like, this is. How are you still investigating it, Dom, or are you convinced by it?
I talked about it in the video I did, and I enjoyed it. But I think it's one of these things that you probably need a lot of time with it to decide how you really feel about it. It's like it's a piece. It's kind of one of these things you have to really pay attention to.
So I don't know if Chuck T here is making a joke or not. Flea was friends with Chet Baker. If it's a very far-fetched joke that like they kind of look the same. Have you thought about it?
I'm gonna split and let Jose jump in. I gotta go help.
No, please don't. Please don't.
I do have to go. I'll listen to the rest after. See ya.
Is it me or Flea and Chet Baker kind of have a similar head structure?
Yeah, maybe Chet is Flea.
No.
Well, wasn't there that documentary in the late 80s that they were like saying that maybe there was like a relation, like it was like that late like 88 that Chet Baker doc and Flea's in it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and then I mean it's a decent. Another thing I want to bring up is, if I may, is that here's another great album.
I don't know what that is.
Failure.
Oh, okay. What kind
I
of
still don't know it.
Yeah, what kind of music?
This is more rock.
Like Helmet kind of rock? Like
in that category.
Okay.
And
so heavy alternative rock.
Yeah. And one of the things that Jason and his channel came up with for a question is when these record companies add these kind of things into the album, it actually warps the album.
What?
I don't know why they keep putting all this junk in there. I mean, yeah, it's kind of neat to have that.
Oh, is it a patch?
In there,
it's a patch?
A patch, yes.
And it warps the record?
Yeah, just, well, a little bit. You know, like it gives it like one of those. It's not super flat.
Jose, the link is out there. Huh? Don't be a martyr. If yeah, everyone found the link so far, so I have faith in you, Jose.
And Stunty, how you been doing?
I'm doing better, as you can hear from my voice.
Yeah.
And a record I got in Den Bosch that like I haven't showed yet. Like, look at this packaging.
Wow.
Cool.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
Soviet France.
Cool.
I mean, these days it's easier to do releases like that, but this is like from 81 or 82, if I remember correctly, and it was distributed, so it's kind of crazy.
So that's the original?
Yeah, that's the original.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And is it like a booklet? Like it's like a hardcover booklet with the records in it?
No, there's just the records.
Okay.
Hello, Platypussy.
Hey, Jose.
What's up?
What's up, brother?
I didn't pick this name, but I guess Stunty likes platypuses and pussy.
I don't know what you're talking about, but how you doing? We started we discussed Boards of Canada for I guess 45 minutes.
Nice.
And then we just went on different tangents.
Well, since I didn't watch it quickly, are you excited? Just tell me yes or no. We don't have to go into it, but are you excited about the new record?
No, but like I will listen to it, and the thing is that
have you seen like the wording on it? It sounds like a comp. It's not a comp, but it's like new music, but like maybe like unreleased stuff with.
No, it's an album. It's an album. It's a proper album.
No, I know, but like the wording, it sort of sounded like they were like using stuff from. I don't know.
I think it's like their previous albums.
Yeah,
that's kind of in line with what they did before, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well,
but
I like them. I remember talking with you when the Stereo Lab got released. For whatever reason, I still don't have that chip in my head where I automatically think that these bands that I like that have been existing for longer than I've been alive are not gonna be good. I give them the benefit of the doubt, no matter what. But
funnily that you mentioned them, just today, like bands I like who have released records I don't like, every now and then I give them a new chance. I give them a new listen every other year or so. And today was Emperor Tomato Ketchup by Stereolab, which is the album from back then. I remember it was the very first promo of Stereolab I was sent, and I didn't like it. Wow. And I wondered if it was a little bit me getting into electronic music too much. But as in recent years, I've grown a renewed interest in early Stereolab. I thought like maybe I was a bit snobbish with it, and no, I still think this is the last. Like Emperor Tomato Ketchup is the first Stereolab. It's the one where I check out. It's not bad, but it's not for me.
Am I wrong? Was this the one you liked the most?
No. The one I like the most is probably. No, it's the mini album Space Age Bachelor Pad. No, this one is off. This one you just showed is after. This one I have zero interest in. Zero.
Oh, there's like 2 or 3 songs in this that I think are, because they have like 2 or 3 slow songs on this record, and I like that it's not a jet at all.
But Rockmer, that's where you're wrong. It's not about being jaded, old. It's about like moving on. I can show you like 6 albums I got this week of artists that have never released anything yet. It's just that, yeah, it's like being more excited about new stuff than like. Is it okay? Here's a topic for you guys. Is it being jaded from when you're basically, in most cases, when you give a maximum of like 3 albums to a band before you move on to something else?
That you didn't like three albums?
Most bands have like 2 or 3 records that I will like, and then I move on. At one point, they start to either repeat themselves or become something. They reinvent themselves in something that is not what I liked about them first, and then I move on to something else that is new and a new challenge. Stereolab at one point, I think, like with basically with Emperor Tomato Ketchup, you can hear that they embrace the sort of French pop that they inject into their crowd shoegaze.
Yeah.
And that's fine, that's smart, but that's not for me. Yeah. The drum, exactly. The drums become very different, more simplistic in a way. Not that it's not simplistic, the krautish motoric Neu one, but it's maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's the opposite of being jaded to at one point leave bands you love if you still find new music. If you just keep the old stuff and never go towards new stuff, then maybe it would be jaded. But I believe it's different. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think it's great to have those records you enjoy. They get old after a while, like everything does. You put them away, and then maybe a couple of years later, you break them back out again.
Well, I personally, well, it depends. I'm 30, so most of the bands that I like already existed or like they are dead, right? So there is stuff that I like that I sort of agree with Stunty in the sense that if I like a band and after like 3 records, if I was for the whole way there, after like 3 records, yeah, I think it's naturally that I start looking somewhere else, which I think it's good.
We also have like 15 to 15, 20 years more than you. So like we have more experience than you in being disappointed with. And disappointed might not be necessarily the right word, but like being realistic. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I'll just repeat my modus operandi is all the bands I love, the new album they put out, I look for reasons to not like it.
Aww.
I mean,
okay, why would you say that?
Why would I do that? Because to keep myself honest, in the sense that I know I will keep finding new music all the time, but maybe, but I don't want to fall into complacency, in the sense that I'm a fan of that band. The easiest thing would be to keep buying all their new stuff, but the more complicated thing is to acknowledge that I like this band because of that, and now they're not doing that anymore, and the new stuff they're doing is not as challenging or interesting as these things that made me fall in love with them. So easy break, a clean break. Like, okay, I still like the old stuff, but now I'm gonna look elsewhere for challenge.
I think that I definitely think that happens to me sometimes with bands that I've been following since they started, but it doesn't. It rarely happens with bands that already had everything out. But today I was listening to Jesus Lizard, which I know you like, but I was listening to Blue, that record, the last one they released before this one. Well, no. It's just a record they released in the 90s. And it was just it was just so much more of the same. I was just like, it's an album that every time I try to listen to it, even the new one, I think it's better. But like, I get it. I do think there's a certain limit there, but there are bands.
That's the last Lizard record. I think is really worth having. Liar.
Yes. Well, the new one has some good songs talking about new stuff. But yes, yeah. But you know what?
These are the ones.
One of the only bands that I can keep enjoying their new stuff. I know how they're gonna sound. It's the same sound. At the same time, it's not the same sound, but because I like their formula, I keep looking forward to it. It's Yo La Tengo.
Well,
Interesting,
because like if you talk about the Jizz Lizard, like the thing is I don't like formulas. So if I start to detect a formula, then that's when I move on. Yo La Tengo, I think, even if I'm way more critical than you, I think they managed to not necessarily have a formula. But
it's not a formula, but there's gonna be like this sweet song that she sings, and then there's gonna be this crazy guitar driven fuzz over the top stuff that I think it's always present in their records. There's going to be the covers and there's going to be the new songs.
If you allow me to interject, it's funny that you mentioned them when Fred here at Spectrum Archives mentioned Björk, since weirdly enough I think they are quite similar artists in the sense that at this point Yo La Tengo doesn't really have a specific aesthetic. They're basically trying to embrace the zeitgeist, whether it's something purely new or something retrofitted into the present, which is kind of the same that Björk does. Björk probably more on the avant-garde side of things, but like at one point, Yo La Tengo, they had their Sun Ra period. Yeah. Then they had they moved to different things
quickly
through music history that is not necessarily them, and they're quite good at it. I'm not that interested in anyone doing that, but I will concede that they're quite good at it.
Yeah, but that's
so basically, they're more like a band. They're kind of like Radiohead, maybe the band that takes your hand and makes you follow them through their adventures in music rather than their own journey into themselves. And that's the thing, is that being a supporter, this whole mentality from the 60s, 70s, like the old classic rock guys who grew up with these bands, who had these crazy contracts with record labels that don't exist anymore, that they could have, like, if they had a hit, they could have 10 albums that would bomb and they would still be on contract, and hopefully at one point something good happens again, blah blah blah. So you grow up with these bands.
Yeah,
I want to grow up with myself and the people I fuck, and that's it. I have no interest in being the follower of these guys I will never meet, that are not my friends. If they did songs that appeal to my ear, great. When they stop doing that,
but
thank you for the past and bye bye.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that when I started getting into music for in high school or whatever, there were a lot of bands that had already a lot of career before I knew them and had a lot of career afterwards. And I know you're not a big a Flaming Lips fan, but I thought for a long time they were still releasing a lot of great records. Actually, their last record I think is pretty good. But Yo La Tengo would say it's one of the only bands that I can think of that I look forward when they released a new record, and that I can find positive things from their new records. Which
finding positive things is one thing, but finding negative things.
No, but I can't, the last two releases.
I can always you can always find.
I can I can definitely find a lot of negatives, but they really sound fresh. Like the last two records they released, I thought they were really good. I personally, I think I told you about it, but the last few Nurse with Wound records, maybe it's the cover, I don't know, but I didn't like them. But I don't know. It's just I know for a fact that it doesn't happen with a lot of bands. There are a lot of bands that still around that I like that I wouldn't even go see them probably because I know they're like the last 3 records they released are horrible. So I wouldn't want to.
Well, also, I mean, wouldn't it also be true that, a band goes out, produces this music? Come on, let's face it, to produce your own music is super challenging. And, to have that respect for what they do, you can't help but have that respect. You have to.
Yeah, for sure. But again, there are certain bands that I think do have a formula, and I don't like formula as well, but there are certain bands that I know how they're gonna sound. Like, I don't know, I like Guided by Voices. All their songs sound pretty much the same, but I like them. And Brian Johnston Massacre, I know it's gonna be the this and that and 12-string guitar but I look forward to it and I enjoy it when I
do. So I fought for a long time, and now I see that I'm not alone in that. There's philosophers and sociologists who push that point now quite heavily. Is the reason, one of the big reasons that the Western world looks like it does right now in bloody shambles is because of nostalgia. And nostalgia is not just something that you feel, but is something that that the industry uses. It's a weapon, 100%. It's something that is being pushed on us, and basically, I won't start this whole debate 2 hours in. It should be the start of the whole stream. Because I will soon go to bed. It's like 2:30 in the morning here, and sometimes I say a bit provocatively, nostalgia is the enemy. I truly believe so. I know that it's a blunt statement like that, but it's also meant to trigger so that we might all think about what it means to us and to myself as well, because I might be subject to that from time to time, but really in the sense that what do we want? I think that we all want to feel free. That's the ultimate goal of everyone. Maybe we don't realize it or put it in these words, but the greatest way to live your life is to feel free.
Mm-hmm.
And when you feel you're not binded by your old loves, that's a good step towards freedom. Like, imagine being a fan of Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
and you know what I mean by that. Buying all these records that you don't care for the past 35 years, basically.
Yep.
Well, I wouldn't. You know what? I don't even think that's a good example in the sense that because they are so fucking old that I think it's way worse with other bands. Because maybe Metallica is a worse example. I mean, Maiden is certainly a thing, right? But at least, I don't know, there's a whole thing going on with Maiden, but Metallica is just a logo basically now.
Yeah.
I think that's way worse in the sense because they haven't released anything that I every time Metallica releases a record, I see the struggle, like their fans struggle so much to say a positive thing about their new record.
And imagine, really even if we had something positive to say about them, even if you happen to enjoy a song or two, why do they have the position in music history, in rock history, that they have now? Because at one point they were disruptive. That's just it. All the bands that we love, all the bands that matter, They matter because at one point they were disruptive.
Yeah.
Why would we keep caring about them when they stop being disruptive? When there's new bands like
Um,
taking upon the torch and moving forward.
but do you think that disruptiveness of a band can also wear off, even if they
Yeah,
not
as well,
necessarily?
of course.
So
Yeah,
it's not their fault in some ways. It's like, I don't know,
no,
like
it's
TV or
I mean,
you
it's
know.
their fault. I mean, you can't fault them for like making a living out of which is very hard when you're an artist.
Yeah.
No, it's the fault of people not like clinging too much on their on something that is not there anymore, but it's just like
Um,
an echo, a ghost of it that is in front of us cashing in on it. And I'm sure that Bob Dylan can still do stuff that is great, but I will always go back and listen to Hey Mr. Tambourine Man. I will no, but
well,
it's true.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
I've
like
been listening to Dylan all my life. I don't go back listening to that shit, the early stuff. I'll ask you something about nostalgia, because there's a very niche but very alive few bands that only exist right now in the zeitgeist because they don't exist anymore. And do you?
Just before you go, I
uh,
just want to quickly address that because it's actually very crucial point. Like bands don't have to be disruptive to be good. Then we have to define what good means because
um,
Metallica is a good band, but they're not disruptive, and they're like for me a word that is more interesting than good because good means like you learned your lesson well. You're on the first bench in the classroom. Yeah, you can be good, but are you being creative that way? And that means
well,
relevant.
well,
Like
danger.
to be disruptive, you have to be relevant. You can't be disruptive if you're not relevant, and you can be good without being relevant, but good in a sense that, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't matter
well,
in
but
terms of musical history and impact on culture.
if you're good without being disruptive, more than likely you are recreating or following something that already exists, and you're not really presenting it in a very unique way.
I don't mean mainstream
Um,
either. I literally mean there's bands that are not mainstream. Like Jose was talking about, like Guided by Voices. Guided by Voices will never be mainstream. They're not like
no,
they're not obscure anymore,
no,
Yeah,
but they're like an established indie band.
yes,
But
and
they will,
they're a band's band. I would say
yeah.
that there's a lot of um, very random people that have either covered them or liked them or talk about them. So I don't know. Maybe it's just Guided by Voices is more like, oh look, this guy's written 5,000 songs. That's amazing. That's why I think it's more of a band's band. But Stunty, what I was going to say is that, for example, I think that I do think Metallica's first three records were disruptive, but everything afterwards, and one of the reasons I stopped liking metal as a kid, or I stopped giving it a try when I was a kid, was because most of the times when metal bands want to be disruptive, they end up being hated completely by their own what do you call it, audience. I don't know
Mm.
if you agree with that, but even the slightest in like hard rock and metal in the 90s and 2000s, the slightest fucking piano you put in a record or whatever was deemed like you were a sellout and shit like that. It was a genre that really only existed doing the same. You could skip every single song and they were like all the same power chords in the beginning, same, I don't know,
Yeah, but like now it makes me think of what's that band again from the 90s? This like new metal band that had masks.
Slipknot.
Slipknot was always, in a way, a joke because they needed all these accessories. At the same time, if we're being brutally honest, they were disruptive. And I think it's a little bit cliche, and there's all better ways to achieve this disruptiveness and impact on culture. That was very MTV-ish, so very formulaic, but like the way it impacted kids was genuine.
But that's the thing, and they were hated at the beginning because they were well, that's a good example because Slipknot first few records, even if you don't like them, which I don't care about them, but the first few records they were like something new, and then that's if you find like other metal bands, they started doing like The Mask and stuff. Like there's a band that I hate with all my gut called Ghost. I think the people that think they're good.
I press records for Ghost.
Oh, fuck that. I think that for people that think Ghost is a good band, I think
that's a good example on like what someone was saying earlier.
Yes,
Ghost is a really, really good band, and they're terribly boring.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. It's like because I think that people that think that they are good, it's they like them, but they're not disruptive at all because they're not doing anything new. They just have good songs, but they didn't invent anything. Even the mask thing that everybody was doing masks now. Fuck that shit.
Well, going back to Slipknot, I saw them as well when I was younger.
Yeah.
And they were disruptive, but also they were all highly talented. The band, they really were good.
I mean,
for the concept they were really different,
because the concept was disruptive and the execution was good enough. So but Herkimer here asks, I believe, a rhetorical question that I want to take as a genuine question. Does every band have to reinvent the wheel for every damn album? Yes.
But that's the thing. I think they're I think my problem with metal in general sometimes is that they really don't like reinventing the wheel. It's a very safe genre, and that's something that I don't like, because if it just sounds the same, what we were talking about, it sort of wears me out almost immediately, so I don't know, it's just, I know it's not possible for anyone, but even in the slightest things, for example, like we were talking about Jesus Lizard, the bass, right? Even that's like, as a genre, the type of bass they had and the sound on the drums, even that, I think it's way more innovative than
okay, Jose, enough with the monologue. I know that Chance loves that, but like
has there been another band like Jesus Lizard since Jesus Lizard?
They can't really be, but like to go back to when I say that, like, yes, a band has to reinvent the wheel every damn album. They have to stay relevant in a way, and if they don't, it's not a big problem. Like, I move on, or you decide to keep being a fan for whatever reason you have. But we're talking philosophically now. It's not about you're right, I'm wrong, you have better taste, I have worse taste. It's like there's such a thing as like sociology within music as well. To stay relevant, you have to push yourself. Like reinventing the wheel, it's a metaphor, obviously, and it can mean different things at different scales. But like the guy who in 2016 was doing the most disruptive and exciting stuff, as far as I'm concerned, a guy called Ryan Trinor. He was doing beats with electronics. I was so excited about it. And after the first 2 EPs, I have to be honest, he's only done like a couple of good tracks, and the music is still interesting, but it's not exciting anymore because there was only that much band length in what he was investigating. At one point, what he was investigating was the most exciting thing, but there was not enough to sustain a career throughout decades with the same concept. So he moves on to do other stuff that he achieves more or less well, and I will still listen to it, but I don't need to own all of it. Not just you being genius for like 1 year doesn't grant you me bowing for you for 50 years, the next 50 years.
But some artists are meant to be gateways for
Yeah,
you to discover something within that genre. It could have been a genre that you
like
just discovered.
Radiohead is the perfect example of that, I would say.
Radiohead, yeah, but Radiohead reinvented it. So, like for the first 5, 6 albums, they were always changing. They never
Yeah, but like there
sounded
were
the same, but they were different albums.
Yeah, but they were always doing something that already existed. They were like helping you enter an unknown
Discover,
world that they understood well, and they were the gateway to that world.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think Maynard James Keenan is one of those individuals that can, maneuver.
Who?
The
the guy
Tool
from
guy?
Tool. The guy from Tool.
Tool, yeah.
Ah, yeah. Maybe
You
so.
know,
Yeah.
I like every single musician from Tool except the singer. Maynard. There's something about him that's, I don't know what, man, but like Pussy Fair and stuff. I can't I can't. I don't know why.
I don't know, man. Hey, but look, the guy.
I've
I think
tried.
he's pretty cool. I think he's pretty cool. The guy owns his own winery. He's branched off in all these different directions. Come on, man.
Okay, but in that regard, I will like ask everyone on the screen and even in the chat, who knows Bolt Thrower?
Rob Thrower?
Bolt Thrower, the band Depeche Mode say. Depeche Mode says Bolt Thrower never changes their style, and they'll always be relevant. So Grass and Eddie, who both said that you know who Bolt Thrower is, do you agree that with the sentiment I have that Depeche Mode, go and look yourself in the mirror and say that again?
Yeah, it's kind of like lightning bolt. I know what I'm going to expect, so I wouldn't dig deeper.
but something, you know, that also the norm is that the band doing what's already been invented normally becomes more popular than the one that invented the wheel. Will you agree?
There's very few bands reinventing or inventing new genres, and especially
you don't need to invent a new genre, but you need just to have like
well, it was like when stoner rock or came into in the 90s, they were basically taking Black Sabbath riffs,
yes,
but with a different twist to it.
Sure, but wouldn't you agree?
The riffs were the same.
But wouldn't you agree that Desert Session has a place in music history, and not just in terms of like what they basically opened the doors for something?
Right. Well, I think they opened the doors for bands like Electric Wizard, St. Vitus, and all that. Yeah, definitely. That's why it was so invigorating in the 90s when you would discover that stuff. And it's almost the same effect what grunge had when it first came out, when the first bands like Mudhoney, Tad, early Screaming Trees came out, early Soundgarden. It was reinventing because everything was so polished back then. It was good to hear something come from the gutter.
I mean, yes, but I tend to think that sometimes the guy that says the joke the second time louder is the one that gets more popular, because I don't know.
Well, remember the population grows, and then internet radio or internet just opened up the world for everyone.
Yeah. I also think that there are certain bands that not necessarily were a genre, and they call it for whatever reason they call it the genre, like Nirvana. They're not really, they don't sound anything like Soundgarden or Pearl Jam. They call them grunge just because. What else?
That was just marketing.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So, because Nirvana was really attached. Not to go back to Jesus Lister, of course I want, but like they were really, around the same time. But they did a split. Blah blah blah.
They were influenced by the Melvins and bands like Scratch Acid.
Yeah, but then I've never heard anyone call Jesus Lister grunge. Were they grunge in the same?
Yeah, but back then they were called like a punk rock band. Like most grunge stuff that didn't want to be labeled as grunge was labeled. Like all the American indie bands that were like heavy and that were like kind of lo-fi or slacker, they were punk rock, American punk rock.
I always heard the term noise.
Noise came a little later, I think. Don't you agree, Grass?
Not for us. Like in Toronto or around here, it was like noise rock, indie rock.
Wasn't that 80s?
Yeah.
Late 80s. Yeah, well, I think noise rock...
because in reality, like Nirvana is a noise rock band. That's what they are.
Yeah.
But when Jesus Lizard came out, it was like, oh no, these guys got grooves and space. It seemed different when it came out.
Yeah, the vocals.
Unlike
because Scratch Acid had groove as well.
Totally.
Yeah. But
and it's not that good, to be honest, I think. But
what, Scratch Acid?
Yeah, I think it's more limited than Jesus Lizard.
Yeah.
But Jesus Lizard had the vocals were not always this screamy. I think that was a big plus, and I think that for example, Slint. I know you like Slint, Santi.
But just to in the shops, like noise rock, but like in media, Jesus Lizard like rode the wave of grunge. Like it was like if someone said Jesus Lizard is grunge, no one would have thought it was like offensive or weird back then.
Right.
To answer your question earlier.
There's a great documentary I think it's on YouTube, that kind of encapsulates all of the 90s stuff and like all of these great bands that really didn't get to make it. And a lot of the bands mentioned were like Jesus Lizard, like they didn't reach the mainstream status like bands like White Zombie and stuff that all came from the same era. And it just tells you the what caused them to rise and what caused them to fail and fall eventually. I'll look up the name and I'll pass it along to you guys.
There's the movie also about the tours of Sonic Youth and Nirvana, 1991, the year punk broke.
Yeah, totally great movie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
guys, come down.
Like for anyone who is interested in that like when the most underground was bleeding into the most mainstream, 1991, the year punk broke is a great movie indeed.
Totally. I remember when that came out in the theater and we were like, yeah.
But the best fiction movie about grunge and noise rock, I think Grass might know it. Unfortunately, I think Eddie probably missed on that, but it's hippie porn.
Hippie porn? That's a
hippie porn by a movie director who he's got like a Japanese name. He's from LA, and all his movies, he's basically what's the guy? He's basically the real, like what Greg Araki would have wanted to be.
Okay, cool. Like Nowhere.
Hippie porn. The soundtrack is Unsane, Polvo, and it's like shot black and white. It feels like a Richard Kern movie.
I was about to say Richard Kern.
But it's kind of at the same time it's 8-Ball, the comic book. It's like, what if Richard Kern had directed 8-Ball into a movie?
So it's called hippie porn?
Yeah.
Okay. Funny name.
Yep.
Because France is a. Thank you for stopping by, Daniel. Talk soon.
Yep.
Nice meeting you, Danielle.
Yeah, thank you, DJ Mr. Joel. John Moritsugu. I get goosebumps just thinking about it because this shit was shown in the theaters in France. Like there was going back to Dinosaur Jr.
Hey, I'm gonna have to go, but
Bye bye, Jose.
talk later. Bye, Eddie. Bye.
One of the few also real grunge movies, Alison Anders, Gas, Food and Lodging, featuring Jay Massis from Dinosaur Jr. in one of the main characters. And also one movie that I'm sure that you know, Eddie, Killers, the Honeymoon Killers.
Honeymoon Killers.
Yes.
Which is the proto grunge movie in a way.
Yeah, I put the link there to that documentary. It's called "The Rise of Alternative Music."
Thank you. Yeah, I can see it. Can everyone see it? Because if maybe I'm not sure if you're not branched, if people can see it, but I can. Otherwise, I will repost it.
Okay.
So tell me in the chat if you can see Eddie's link. But how are you doing, Eddie? Huh? Isn't it nice to have a proper nerdy music chat?
Yeah, I heard some of the topics you guys were talking about. I go, you know what? Let me chime in. It's been a while since we've chatted, but I've just been doing good, man. Working 2 jobs, keeping busy. Life's getting more and more expensive, so it takes 2 jobs just to be single nowadays. And have a vinyl addiction.
But yeah, I don't know when you caught the live stream today. I started by saying that like long time ago I used to do these streams, and I was not alone in doing that. But like now I do my stream, which are only music, but I felt like remember with Fred Perlman, like we used to have like this. Like we would go deep
conversations,
and also okay with not necessarily not looking to agree with each other. Like if we agree, fine. Or when we find finding where we disagree, where the crossroad starts, so that we can have an honest discussion and learn things and come up with new ideas and maybe bring new people instead of the same old people.
One of my favorite conversations that we've had was we were on a stream, and then it just ended up you and me off screen ended up talking like for another 2-3 hours. And we connected with 90s music, bands like 7 Year Bitch and stuff like that, and from there you just took off, and that's one of the things that I admire about you, that your knowledge is it's deep in whatever genre.
Well, it's
that's why it was good seeing you connect with Derek Higgins.
Yes,
he's got the same passion, but the disadvantage of Derek is that he was born in the States, so he didn't have access to a lot of the music that he's very passionate about. The early prog and all the stuff coming from Europe, and then living in Omaha. Good.
And also he suffered racism, which I didn't.
Oh yeah. Right. To be the only black guy in a punk band in Omaha.
Yeah.
God bless you.
But yeah, like, I mean, I'm a huge supporter of the idea that you should always be a big fan of the time you grew up in, like to find bands that are your bands and not bands of the previous generations. Right. I remember, I don't know if you remember that, but I used to, there was a couple of streams where like I was adamant about like you should never wear t-shirts of bands that were before you. Like,
funny.
Do you remember that, Eddie?
Yep, yeah, of course.
And I mean, it's like making a stand like that. I mean, of course, it's performative a little bit, but there's a meaning behind it. There's an intelligence behind it. Like either you want to see it or you don't want, or you don't care. That's fine. But like, it's a positive message in the sense that like you will never be more proud and more free than when you actually find your own tribe. And
Yeah.
and I must say, it's not to diss him or not, but I always find it a little bit like depressing when I see people like Fluffy in the VC who seems to be living through the passion of others in a way.
Well, yeah. Well,
And maybe it's not the best example, but maybe he's not the best example, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's because sometimes, well, it's like me. I'm the old. I was the oldest. It was only me and my brother, so I had to look up to the older kids to see what they were listening to, because they were my gateway to listening to music. And through that, like, we had this one friend, comes from a family of architects, so he had an older brother in college. So when he was in college, he introduced us to like Gary Newman before anyone knew who Gary Newman was. Bands like the Cars.
Yeah, but he should be the one teaching you about. He should be the one teaching you about new stuff. That's the way it should be. And then he should do his research on his own. He shouldn't like I'm sure you did, like I did. That like if someone wants to take me by the hand, that's a perv. Like it's a metaphor.
It's a lot easier too, but yeah, I lived by reading the liner notes and waiting to hear what bands they mentioned, and immediately, this is before internet, go to your record store and see if you can find some of these bands that they mentioned.
And you know what, Eddie? That's your choice, because you chose the ones you wanted to read, because I'm sure there's ones that you didn't even bother.
No, back then, if I liked something, I went in deep.
He's a good student.
On what it was, and then back then,
your mother must have been so proud of you, Eddie.
Oh my God, I was the black sheep of the family. But there always has to be one. But back then, the early issues of alternative press were godlike, man. I mean, the magazine used to be good before they went into the beautiful paper and stuff. When there was a raw magazine, I learned a lot about bands like Lubricated Goat that no one seems to mention anymore. But back then, Lubricated Goat, they were one of my favorite. Early Fetus, stuff like that.
Insanely, like something also that maybe should be talked a little bit about in the VC, as we're old people. Fetus is having a resurgence right now.
Yeah. That last album is amazing.
It's not for me, but it's good. He's having a new album next year as well that is a follow-up to it. But he's like him touring Europe right now. You see I mean, if you're into stuff like me, like Nurse Suzuki, you know that. But now he's with social media. You see the galaxy of people he's friends with, he collaborates with, who respects him. He managed to be central to everything during the 80s, early 90s. Like, I mean, he literally fisted Lydia Lunch in a Richard Kern movie.
Yeah.
But then he was doing stuff with Nurse with Wound. He was doing stuff with Chris and Cozy. He was doing stuff with German guys. He was everywhere.
Yeah, but it was that group of creative artists that were so unique and would not fit into mainstream. I was lucky enough to see Fetus in 88, 89 in San Antonio. Amazing show. Friends of mine are the ones who brought him to San Antonio.
Cool.
So yeah, that was.
What was? I forget, because like I'm born into music in 1990, and what was Steroid Maximus again? Was it an alter ego of him?
That was a side project of Thirlwell.
But wasn't it just an alter ego? Wasn't it like still him?
Yeah.
But do you remember what was the difference musically?
I think Stereo Maximus was just more upfront and in your face.
Yeah, it was more for MTV.
Less orchestral, less layered. That's what I remember it as. I haven't heard Stereo Maximus in a while. I have the CD in storage, which I need to pull out. But that's what I remember of Steroid Maximus.
See? When was the last time Steroid Maximus was mentioned in the VC?
Oh my God.
Or Lubricated Goat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost saw them. They pulled out at the very last minute.
Yeah, and also these weird bands that like so I've been like very clear that like, and that's why some people have who don't really understand where I'm coming from, or who don't want to understand where I'm coming from, with that where I'm very critical of bands I used to like as a teen, like Frontline Assembly or Skinny Puppy, which I think have nothing to offer to me anymore or to younger generations. Whereas I must admit that Ministry and of course Nine Inch Nails, they do, because they just did it better.
Did you see what Nine Inch Nails did recently on their
No, I
last
have
tour?
zero interest in that anymore. But like, I mean, if it's in front of me, I'll listen to it. Yeah. What did he do?
They basically remixed the songs live while they were performing. Well, yeah, Wise Blood was
Yeah.
another project. They
Of
basically they
digits.
invited a DJ Noise Boys on,
Yes.
on
Is it
stage.
Boys Noise?
Boys
Yeah.
Noise, and
Okay.
They were remixing the songs live while they're performing.
That sounds like
So
utter bullshit.
it was just like, okay, he's trying to reinvent, or he's trying to attract a
That sounds like
different
utter
crowd.
bullshit, Eddie. That sounds like old men desperately trying to stay relevant. That sounds like what Jean-Michel Jarre is doing now. Like, who's because you know what? Boys Noise is like 25 years old now. It's not
Yeah.
even new and fresh
Yeah.
or anything.
Yeah, when I saw his who he worked with, like once they mentioned Skrillex, I was just like, all right.
I'd be
I'll tell you something, live, it sounded good.
yeah, but like
and
okay.
the younger generation
Hmm.
got exposed to it, and hopefully that piques their interest into researching his back
You know
catalog
what?
and other bands. And
You
that's
just
what I like when a band can do that, when a band can pique your interest and make you want to go back and hear their stuff.
You know, you just helped me with what you said to put the finger of what I've been trying to say earlier about like this discussion about uh, isn't it enough being good, essentially? I'm not a school teacher who's grading students when I go see a band. Oh, they were good. Like,
Yeah.
that's not enough anymore. Like, that's one of the reasons also why when I've seen a band I love live and I saw a great live show of them, I'm done. I won't go see them again, because I know that at best I will say, "Oh yeah, it was fine." That like you can't have twice the same emotion with a band
Right,
when they were
right.
great. Don't you agree?
It's hard to relive a certain experience when there's nothing like the first experience.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, if you see them and it's shit, and you hear that they had a night off, then yeah, fine. I'll go and see them again till I catch them on a good night. But when you realize you've seen that band so many times and you've seen them one time that was amazing and everything after compares to that one, my job is not to grade a band. And it becomes a little bit like that. Like, and I have more interesting things to do in my life than grading bands that I once loved.
Yeah, but I still, like I said earlier, I still wonder at bands that make people want to go back and research your catalog, because this new generation are used to listening to 1 minute snippets on TikTok.
And that's fine.
If it
That's
gets
not
them,
fine. You're missing the whole picture by
No,
looking
no.
at the tree and the painting.
No, because some of them will create a genre of music that is based on this very short format, as library music is also very short format, and
True.
chip tunes and stuff. And there will be people who find a creative way to use this limitation, but like usually for people who grass you don't know, but usually I break Eddie's balls with
Baby metal.
exactly. I've never been to Disneyland in my life. When you go to see
Have
baby
I?
metal, isn't it like a bit like you going to
It's
Disneyland?
it's the Disneyland of metal.
Yeah.
Okay.
But from that, there's young people that's their first experience to heavy music. and if they like it, they will research other bands and get into Iron Maiden, get into Saxon, get into Judas Priest, and start maneuvering around the metal genre. To some people, this is their gateway into that metal. And as you know, metal has been dead for years. It went back underground.
Thankfully.
It went back
Yeah, I'm not
underground.
a metal
So
guy.
for me to see a band that's inspiring a population of kids that would never listen to metal unless they heard baby metal first. Hey, if it's going to help the genre, why not? I'll always listen to metal. I grew up on it. I haven't given up on it. I've seen the rise and fall. I've seen how bands have sold out. Bands like Metallica. Metallica to me is a joke now. It's like, okay, they were good for the first 3 albums, maybe 4.
That's exactly what we were discussing before you came on. I don't know if you caught that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
we
Paul was
literally discussed Metallica that way. That they were basically talking about the idea of like disruptiveness. Metallica or what they are, where they stand in history because they were disruptive for 2-3 albums,
Yeah.
and now.
Well, maybe not disruptive, but aggressive.
No, but they were disruptive because the type of aggressiveness they had in metal back then.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the whole moshing
Because,
and stuff.
again, when I say disruptive, it doesn't mean that the whole society needs to take notice. It's about also within the music genre that like this thing changed the paradigm. That's just enough for it to matter. And in their case, they just milked it. And again, as I was saying, or as we were saying, they're also professional musicians. There's no one who can tell them you have to stop now because you're not relevant anymore. It's up to us. Like they do what they do. It's up to us to know if we want to still grow and be free, or to be to put ourselves in tracks where there's no exit.
The only one that hasn't progressed in their ability to command an instrument or taking it further has been Lars in Metallica. He's the weakest link of that band.
I would
drum
have
wise. I mean, I don't know his writing abilities, but I've seen other drummers younger, and they're like, man, they're doing.
I just know that he's got the best taste in women of the band, though. But
I don't know. Now I gotta look that up.
Well, he was, or he's still married with Connie Nielsen.
That's what money brings you, money and fame, man. You could be the ugliest motherfucker, but you have money.
He doesn't look like much if you take off the, especially now. I mean, we all aging, but the rock star life. I mean, yeah. Oh, that's good, Paul. Like Glenn Velez. I could talk about Glenn Velez for a long time, but let's wrap it up. Okay, maybe like we do an even 3 hours, which I didn't plan to go that long, but like, what? So, Grass, we had so many tangents, but like, John Cage video, what's going on?
I got the mute box set of 433. And this guy at a record show was like, just fucking take it. No one's buying it. And I was like, I don't know. And then I grabbed it and I actually started playing it. And I was like, oh, this is really good. Like, I was like, this is fun. So I was like, you know what? Let me do a video on this box set that I never thought I would buy. So it's got like, everybody from like Depeche Mode, New Order to Swans on it doing it. And then I was like, no, let me, instead of just talking about this record of nothing song, like the 433, I went all around the city for like 48 hours. And I was just like at midnight and just holding this box set in different environments, not saying anything, and just letting all the weirdos on the street being like, what the fuck are you doing? And I just stood there with holding this box set the mute box set. So I explain it all in different areas, and then I do 4-3-3 holding the box and all the like the weird stuff that happens with it. And I just thought it was a hilarious video, and I was like running into variety stores and construction sites and overpasses and by like homeless encampments and like, you know, just everywhere. And I just ended the video. The guy at the variety store was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm showing off my box set. And I explain it all to the variety store guy, and he has no interest. And it's hilarious to me because I'm like, oh, look at this. And it's 5 records and it has all these candles. And he's like, you paid money for this? And that's, you know, anyway. So that's my John Cage 4-3-3 video. I just got to do the thumbnail, but I've already
it's imminent.
Yeah, totally.
Like my best of 2022 video that people have been asking me since 2022.
Yeah.
Grass, do you have a link to your channel so I can follow?
Yeah, it's Grasshopper TV. I don't know how to do that while we talk right now.
You'll find him easily. His avatar is a green Spider-Man face.
Green Spider-Man face? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And your channel's just called
Grasshopper
TV.
Grasshopper, okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask Eddie, since we all here on screen share this common background with punk rock, noise rock, and all that, how do you perceive, relate to us also getting into this kind of stuff like John Cage, avant-garde music, and all that? I know your connection with that may be through film music, Morricone, and all that, but like to see some people in the VC, some of your peers and your friends who come from similar trajectories, and that for us it's not like sort of a crossroads, it's a continuation.
Well, I think music is a journey, and it's a journey that should never stop until you die.
I agree.
You know, as you move forward, you're gonna get traction and discover, you know, all this beautiful music that's out there. So that's how I treat music. Other people treat music as an art form, and you know, they just enjoy it. It's a product, and that's it. They don't go deep into, okay, well, let me keep going further to see who was Morricone, you know, inspired by, and go in deeper. So thank you. There's just there's two different kind of listeners: people who are passionate and people who are not passionate about music.
But I guess my question was less interesting than that.
Okay.
It was more in the sense that seeing that through certain time we follow the same paths, and when you see people like Grass, me, Dom, Alex, who really embrace almost like naturally, if not totally naturally, modern classical music, avant-garde music, and that we see it as a complete continuation, like even if it's before, like right, obviously, like what are your feelings about that? Because obviously, I'm asking that because even if I've never had any issue with that, but like it was always interesting to me when I entered the VC to see how it was easy to deem me into very niche music.
Yeah.
When I was at the same time offering the idea that like it's people who are only into rock and roll who are into a niche. I'm into everything, including the what used to be the normal path, like in the people listening to classical music and then listening to the new version of classical music. It was normal, and then suddenly we had the Beatles that kind of changed it all, because you had a step backward in a way, even if it was a positive step, that was giving you the alibi by having pop bands that were more interesting than other pop bands, but it was still pop music. And in a way that, like, having Beatles being so great that you didn't necessarily need to inflict yourself all this like nonsense experimental avant-garde and all that stuff.
I don't know. I understand the value, historical value, and the contribution of the band like the Beatles. But I have an issue when people say they're the greatest band ever. And it's like, how dare you say that? There's bands coming out now that are still making music. For me to say something is the best, there's got to be a beginning and an end. And that's it. That's your population. And you pick from there. But there's bands still coming out and making good music. How can you say this one band
Plus,
is the best ever? It's like, I understand that they inspired a lot of people that you look up to, because without the Beatles you wouldn't have Ozzy Osbourne.
And also the problem with that is that it's how much do you actually know, also how many points of reference do you have, and if you want to, the only way, because the only way to invalidate that point would be, well, they sold more. Okay, so then Kid Rock is better than
oh boy.
Which is the point I made to Joel when he explained to me that that Skinny Puppy was better than Björk. But
I saw Skinny Puppy on their farewell tour. Was it a year, 2 years ago? And
how was it?
It was still a great performance.
Okay.
They
don't you think that there's
to go?
So it was like for, I saw them in San Antonio. San Antonio, they had a big following in San Antonio. Skinny Puppy. Industrial music was pretty big in the underground back then. And I was glad that I was in it at the time where they were relevant, when they were coming out with Dig It and all that stuff. So seeing a younger crowd that only grew up hearing from their older siblings about this band and wearing the shirts without actually knowing or experiencing the music, and then seeing them, the way they reacted live, it was great. It was like, okay, great. I'm glad you were able to get a little taste of what it was like.
And I would say that, like, nowadays, I mean, if Skinny Puppy really is still existed, I would probably rather go see them live than listen to their old albums, because I can accept and I can imagine that they're probably fun to see live if I'm into the idea of going to see a show, and by that I mean a show, not like a gig. And I would say also that, like, I can't help, like, that's the OCD in me. Like, whenever people talk about Skinny Puppy as industrial, I have to make my point that, well, okay, you say industrial, but like real industrial music didn't really have songs, and this is this is a little more connected to rock and roll than it is to industrial music. It has the aesthetics, the production aesthetics of some sounds of musique concrète, of throbbing gristle, but there's not a single song of throbbing gristle that is close to anything that
Skinny Puppy,
yeah.
Well, again, it's all the marketing. It's all the marketing that was back in the day,
Because industrial is a great name. It's a great it's a selling point. Like, it's cool sound. It's a cool.
There he is.
Yeah. The one who tells me, like, what he thinks, and when he told me what he thinks, then he tells me that he's not interested in discussing it.
Funny. Okay, so when you saw Skinny Puppy just recently, See, the last time I saw Skinny Puppy was like 87 or 88. And
Yeah, the first time I saw it.
I didn't want to go see them be old or using like new school technology, but maybe Stunty's right. I should have went and been like, okay, people, let's check it out. But a side note, that Ain't It Dead documentary.
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
I'm in that. That's in Toronto, and me and my little black girlfriend are like the only like mixed couple in the crowd when we got our big hair and shit. So I'm at that show.
Making the comparison of seeing Skinny Puppy in '88 to the recent farewell tour, it was almost the same aesthetic with just a little bit more money in the budget for theatrics. Not much more. It still had that raw homemade feel to their costumes and their production.
When was the
overproduced?
When was the Process released? Was it 95, 96, 94? 96, right? I think, which is the last real Skinny Puppy album.
I think that's
I'm way out by that
last
time.
Skinny Puppy album.
No.
Which year is that again? Is it 96?
But that was not the last real Skinny Puppy album.
Yes, because the guy died after.
He actually died before.
Yeah.
But anyway, the albums later than that are still great, especially Weapon. That's a great album.
Yeah, but maybe, but it's not really Skinny Puppy anymore.
It is.
It's a different thing that still is called. It's like, yeah. Is Human League still Human League? They still perform, they still release music, but it's more like a Eurovision band now.
You're correct. 96 in the Process.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard. I'm just looking through my Skinny Puppy. I didn't even hear that record.
And Process was like when I think the last great Skinny Puppy records, if you're really into them, are probably Two Dog Park and Lost Rights, and maybe and Vivisect 6.
Yep.
The Process was never pressed on vinyl, so that may be why you don't have it if you're only collecting vinyl.
No, I have it. I bought it back then.
No, but I'm talking about Grasshopper.
Okay. What do you mean?
The Process was never pressed on vinyl. It was CD only.
Cool.
The best song on Process, I don't remember. I haven't listened to it in years, but I remember there's one song that is kind of like a song, almost bluesy, like towards the middle. What's the name again?
Probably Blue Surge is what you're talking about.
I think yeah.
The Process is fantastic. You need to put it on. You're gonna have to break out your CD player.
You've been there, done that. It's a very sick album. It's like you see that the band doesn't really exist anymore in it. Like it's something. You can basically hear the band dissolving in it.
That's ridiculous.
That's my opinion.
What I liked about them in that mid to late 80s, like you'd go to a dance club or whatever, and you would hear like house music, and it would go into like, Tones on Tails and Skinny Puppy and that kind of stuff. And there was like this weird like crossover and like queer scene where everybody was getting down to like kind of aggressive beats or whatever.
There was a club in San Antonio there's two. One called Phases and one called Changes. And as a matter of fact, this weekend on Saturday, they're having a reunion of the people that used to go to those clubs.
Cool.
Wait, you're in San Antonio?
Excuse me?
You're in San Antonio?
I used to live in San Antonio in '87.
Okay. Because Raleigh's a friend of mine. He's going to be
DJing.
Yeah.
Well, Raleigh was one of the main guys who produced and brought in. I was telling Stunty that I was able to see Fetus and Skinny Puppy and Dead Man Productions, I think was the name of the production company that brought him to San Antonio. And it was Raleigh, Chris Mackey, Scott, and all those guys. So, I used to not hang around with those guys, but I was in their sphere because we would support whatever they would do back in the 80s. So this weekend they're having a reunion.
Yeah, and they're going to be they updated it to say they're going to be streaming it, It'll be like an online thing, so you can join if you're not.
Yeah, and that was a club like you were describing, Grass, where they were playing Public Enemy, and also there was Skinny Puppy, and then Faith No More, and then they're going to Section 25.
Oh yeah.
Because back in the day,
any new thing?
Huh?
Anything new that is a little bit hip?
Well, this is back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Sorry.
That's what the club was playing, at the time. So it was a mishmash, and it was like straight people, RT people, people who cut hair. You had straight, you had Rasta guys, you had metal guys. It was all the degenerates that didn't go to the polished clubs of the day.
Okay.
Was it like an after hours kind of vibe?
It was they would open like a club like at 9 or 10, and they would go until.
We had after hours here, and that's where it'd be like techno house and what we call industrial or goth. Yeah. Anything that kind of had like rhythm or drum machined, it would all blend together, and then all the people on drugs on the dance floor. And it would be at like 6 a.m,
San Antonio, all the clubs closed at 2. There was not like Houston and Dallas. Houston and Dallas had after hour clubs. I don't know about Austin. Did the Voodoo Club open late, Joel?
Well, I was up in Dallas. So Dallas, we did have late night clubs.
Okay.
We had Club 7 was the big one.
Okay.
We had the Twilight Zone in the 80s.
Oh,
you guys ever hear about that? There's a doc on YouTube, but it's like Larry Levine would come in. They would bring all the New York and Chicago DJs in. So I didn't know, and I'm like in grade 6 and nowhere to go. So I'm hanging out.
I bet when you say I bet that when you say the Chicago DJs, you're not talking about Chicago house. You're talking about like the wax tracks.
No, I'm talking about like if you watch the doc, they list all the Chicago DJs and all the New York DJs.
Okay, so fair enough.
That's where my exposure came because they're being played in the same,
I'm not sure
for this one club here.
Okay.
Yeah.
There will be more. We reached 3 hours, but because I don't know if it was Eddie, Grass, or Joel who mentioned them, I will end with Litman Test, Love and Rockets, or Tones on Tails.
Tones on Tail.
Tones on Tail.
Oh, but Love and Rockets got great jams, man.
Yeah, but if you have a body, Tones on Tails. Go Lions.
Lions, yeah.
Lions, yeah.
Like, there's not a single song in the whole discography of Love and Rockets that comes near Go or Lions. But that's the only 2 songs they have.
Yeah.
So the rest is pretty boring. But like just for these 2 songs, what do you think of these 2 songs, Joel? You know them?
Yes, I know them. Those are not the only 2 songs they have. They had a huge hit with Christian Says in the
Christian
club.
Says,
yeah, but that's not really. No one plays that in clubs anymore.
They do.
Nah, not in the relevant ones.
They'll probably play this weekend in San Antonio. Guarantee you.
Guaranteed. Love and Rockets is great. Give me some Bauhaus, Peter Murphy solo. I'll take all of it. I'm not choosing.
Peter Murphy's solo was too polished for me.
Yeah,
I love it. I love his voice, but the music was just a little bit too polished from what I was used to.
Bauhaus, like, it's the textbook band that have like 1 good song per album, if even.
Yeah. These hot takes you have are horrible, man.
But
what are you talking about?
How about
plus the best song of Bauhaus is a dub song, so it's not even a goth one.
Oh my god.
Bela Lugosi's Dead is 100% a dub song.
Dub
the
song,
drumming.
Completely. But I still love Final Solution. I didn't know this was a cover. When I heard it as a kid, I'm like, oh, this is great.
See? So you came on my channel, Joel, and you weren't shut up with your opinions. Huh? Learn from that.
Don't take it to heart, Joel. It's okay. We all have no love.
Did any of you guys listen to Peter Murphy's last solo album?
I mean, why would we have better things to do in life?
You guys,
there's a million bands.
You're missing out if you don't want to listen to it. I don't understand why. Like, it's worth it to listen to Boards of Canada, but not to Peter Murphy.
Because there's a chance that they might still be doing something relevant.
Yeah. And
doesn't mean that what he's doing is not good, but we went through that, like the difference between good and relevant and like disruptive. But you've been clear about that you want to listen to stuff that makes you feel good. Like I want to listen to stuff that keeps me challenged. It's two different perspectives.
Boards of Canada is going to challenge you.
I don't know. I don't think the next one will be doing that. I like that's literally what we've been saying for 45 minutes. That it's a big release. It's something that's going to matter. It's got something that is important for kids or for people who love them. Me, I've been with them since the very beginning, so I'm kind of like I've exhausted the potential for me. But like I leave the. I mean it's not like they have like a massive discography like Bauhaus, Peter Murphy. They only have like 4 albums in 30 years. So
look at everyone in chat saying, dude, he mentioned Skinny Puppy and Joel appears. That's a complete coincidence. I just got home. But I did hear you talking about industrial music, so I wanted to jump in here because I figured you'd be saying some silly shit.
I was saying some pretty sensible stuff, yeah, with experience and empirical experience. What are you showing?
Throbbing Gristle cassette.
So what is the one pop song that Throbbing Gristle did?
Hot on the Heels of Love.
United.
No?
United.
Oh, United is great.
Yeah.
But every time I play Hot on the Heels of Love, people come up be like, what the fuck is this, man?
That's true. It's true.
You know?
Well, everyone, thanks for stopping by. As I was saying, I'll try to start doing these again on the regular, like once a month for starters, even if because I love being contradicted about my silliness about industrial and my my cluelessness about it. So on that note, Disco Devil Alex is right, and the first proper SPK album is being reissued right now on vinyl for the first time in 30 years, and it's one of the best true industrial albums in history. You joined very late, Joe, but have fun, everyone, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Brad, thanks for meeting you.
Yeah,
Joe, nice seeing you,
nice
man.
hanging out.